Can I say an idea that people cannot steal because it's a great idea that someone tweeted at me that we're going to do?
Yes.
So legally, no one's allowed to steal this. Who's listening right now? On today's part of my take, we have a twofer for the people. We have the legend, Verne Lundquist. Great interview with Verne, talking about his entire career. And then we have Kirk Goldsberry in studio, breaking down the NBA playoffs. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. The Nuggets are in deep shit. Knicks, Pacers, game one. The Thunder have finally played a basketball game again, and Cocky Hank, is on his way. We're going to do some hot seat, cool throne. We're going to do pardon your take. Great show, and it's all brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. Did you ever play the over-under game with your friends? You know, think I can eat that slice of pizza in under 30 seconds, or I know I'll take you over a minute to down that 2-liter max. If you have, then you're going to love Pick 6, the new fantasy game from DraftKings, an official partner of the NBA. Here's how to play during the NBA playoffs. It's super simple. First, download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, then pick between 2 and 6 players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat like rebounds, points, assists, and more. Track your picks and play against others for a shot to win huge cash prizes. That's all there is to it. So go check it out right now. It's super easy to use, very fun to get involved in the game. And for the all first-time Pick 6 players, check this out. New customers play $5 and they get 50 in Pick 6 credits. Play Pick 6 from DraftKings, the new fantasy app that packs more fun into less time. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use code TAKE. New customers play $5 and get 50 in Pick 6 credits. That's code TAKE. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Part of My Take, presented by DraftKings. Play Pick 6 from DraftKings, a new fantasy app that packs more fun into less time. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use code TAKE. New customers play $5 and get 50 in Pick 6 credits. That's code TAKE, only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Today is Wednesday, May 8th, and the Denver Nuggets are in some deep, deep shit, PFT.
Yeah, they looked really bad. They looked terrible offensively. They looked bad defensively. The Minnesota Timberwolves looked awesome defensively, which had a lot to do with it's not all the Nuggets, but they looked out of sorts. I had a thought, and I'm not exactly like a film breakdown guy when it comes to basketball. I don't know if you know that about me or not, but it seems like every time teams play the Nuggets, they play the Nuggets game, and they try to match up against Jokic in a way that the Timberwolves didn't even attempt to do last night because they had their hand forced with Rudy Gobert being out for having sex 9 months ago. So by stretching him out and by Jokic I don't know what he was doing. He looked like he was just in no man's land defensively for most of the game, like caught halfway between where he's used to being and where he should be. And they just ate his lunch.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Nuggets are in trouble. I mean, you're right. Jokic, like, he gets stuck in these pick and rolls. He's been swiping at stuff. He's looked for all the things that people criticize Jokic for before his championship run. It feels like they're coming back right now. I still think he's an incredible player, one of the best players in the NBA. I'm not ready to bury him right now, but the Wolves feel like they have the Nuggets number, and it's intensity, defensive intensity, and Anthony Edwards just being a superstar in the making. And like you said, no Rudy Gobert, and their defensive, like they just have the Wolves just have so many dudes that are so big, and they're just so their arms are everywhere. They're defending the entire court. They're picking up Jokic, like it's Jokic, brings the ball up a bunch. They're picking him up at half court, bothering him there. And it's an interesting subplot because the guy who helped build The Nuggets, Tim Connolly is the GM for the Wolves, and it feels like the Wolves are created to beat the Nuggets, and that's what they're doing. And then you also have the factor of Jamal Murray just having an absolute meltdown, throwing a heat pack on the floor. People were very upset. I personally can't get that upset about it because I and this is a flaw of mine, and it's probably a flaw of how I parent as well. If no one gets hurt, I don't really do any punishments. Like if there's not an injury, I'm like, all right, keep playing. It's fine. I get it. It was probably should have done that. It's a crazy move, but some people being like, someone could have died out there from that heat pack. It felt like a lot.
The heat culture gone wrong. And when he threw it out there, it looked like he was throwing it at the ref. Did you see the zoomed in camera angle?
Yeah.
They have like a Zapruder style film of it that zooms in on him. He's like behind the basket. He looks like he's trying to hit the ref. I'm willing to give this a pass because that's hilarious. If it had hit the ref, that would have been very funny. He probably would have been suspended for maybe 2 games if that had happened. Instead, they give him a $100,000 fine, same that Rudy Gobert got for doing the money sign to the refs. But it looked like, I don't think he was trying to throw it on the court. He was trying to hit the ref because he was pissed at the ref, and it just slid out onto the court. And then everyone was like, oh, weird, there's a heat pack on the court. And then you had a subset of people being like, this is the most dangerous thing that I've ever seen a player do in my entire life.
Exactly. It felt a little aggressive. Jamal Murray did the money sign as well. Did you see that? Yeah, he did the money sign about the refs as well. So he was having an all-time meltdown performance where it's like, this is the interesting part because it is all credit to the Wolves. Like the way they're 6-0 in the playoffs. They are playing like incredible team basketball. They, as Kat told us, they're a big 15, and it feels that way when they're playing. But the interesting like subplot of all this is, I think I used subplot twice. Sorry, I apologize. It's late. The interesting moment I'm waiting for Friday night is this is the first time the Nuggets feel like they're really, really tested. Because if you remember last year, they, beat the Wolves in 5. They beat the Suns in 6. They swept the Lakers. They beat the Heat in 5. They have controlled the playoffs for the last year and a half, obviously beating the Lakers in 5. Now, like, what do you got? Do you have the championship medal? Because now the pressure is on. You just lost 2 games at home. You had a total meltdown. Jokic does not look good. And the Wolves are just better right now. Like, that's just what it is. They are the better team.
All around, yes.
All around.
It's not really close. They've got 2 coaches too. Their coach is sitting down with his torn knee, and they have another coach managing like the in-game shit going on for him. They're getting outdone in every facet of basketball right now. The games aren't close. I disagree that they haven't been tested though. They were tested in this playoffs. They were just tested in the first half of every game.
Yeah, and also the Lakers almost beat them.
Well, no, this is now a great change to the narrative. Like, how shitty are the Los Angeles Lakers? So
shitty.
If they were getting beat by these Nuggets, they shouldn't have even been in the playoffs.
So shitty. And it was, I'm happy we did that entire week of being like, well, the Lakers just had a really bad matchup with Nuggets. No, the West, and we can stay in the West. The West is just young and deep because the Thunder, who hadn't played a game in forever, came out.
Just like Giddey likes it.
Yeah, they came out. Giddey, I always feel so bad for
Jake
guys.
Didn't like that one.
No, he didn't like that one. I always feel so bad for guys when they just like sag off them so much that they're just like, go ahead, shoot. No problem.
Yeah.
We'll let you shoot. Like, that's such an embarrassing thing. Like, if I were Josh Giddey, I would try to just never be at the 3-point line because they're just going to let you shoot and you're going to miss and it's going to suck. But the Thunder, I want to see Wolves Thunder at this point. Like, it's 2 young teams that are so exciting. Hank's shaking his head because he thinks the Celtics can beat both those teams very easily. Hank, you should listen to the Kirk Goldsberry interview because I might have said something that you'd be interested in. Also, Thunder,
Hank,
though,
Hank should actually start rooting for the Nuggets.
No,
that's what I would do if
he doesn't think the Wolves are a tough matchup for the Celtics.
They're a tough matchup, but I'd rather face the Wolves or the Thunder or the Mavericks than the Nuggets still.
Okay.
Max disagrees.
Yeah. But anyway, the Thunder.
Max doesn't know what it is.
No, I'm just talking about the Kirk Goldsberry interview.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait till you get to it, Hank. The Thunder are so young and so much fun, and it feels like SGA was incredible in the first half, and then you get to the fourth quarter, it's like, oh, we got another really young dude in Jalen Williams who's just going to torch you, and Lou Dort's everywhere. And it's just like we said this a couple weeks ago, but if you're a Thunder fan, Thunder or Wolves fan, it has to be the coolest, funnest experience right now to watch your organic homegrown team be super young and just dominating everyone. What?
Yeah, and
why are you shaking your head? Don't shake your head.
Because
why are you shaking your head?
Because
we're talking about the West, Hank. We're talking about the West.
Your team's not that young, Hank. You're kind of young, but this is like a new age.
Jason Tatum's 19 years old.
New age of Thunder.
Yeah,
and
he's been in the Eastern Conference Finals every single year.
Hank, this is you. You had your moment like 4 years ago with the Celtics team, where you're like,
you had fun with that,
and they're fun.
Yeah,
so let other people have fun. It's not always about you.
It's.
I didn't say anything for the record.
You shook your head. You knew what you did. You shook your head. I know. We'll get to Cocky Hank. You had a great game one, but hey, listen, we invited Cocky Hank back, so we have to embrace the fact that we're just complimenting the Thunder, and he's shaking his head like,
yeah.
That's
you know
Cocky
what?
Hank. Take him. Listen, if you can't handle him at subdued, like game by game Hank, then you don't deserve him at Cocky Hank. I wanted Cocky Hank. We got a Cocky Hank.
I fucking love how much I fucking hate Hank right now. It's awesome.
Well, whatever.
This is what we wanted. It really is. So I'm glad that you're
mad.
back. You piece of shit.
But yeah, I do think this will still be a series. But the fact that the Thunder came out on all this rest and played that well, I mean, they're fun. Chet Holmgren's fun to watch. They got just guys that are fun to watch, and they're all young.
Yeah. They scream after every play too. A lot of emotion. And the t-shirts, my God, the t-shirts tonight in Oklahoma City, it looked like a college stadium. It looked like when like Tennessee does the checkerboard in the stands, some people wear one color. It was a perfect row of blue t-shirts and then a perfect row. Was it orange or was it white tonight? I forget, but it was perfectly done. I didn't see a single t-shirt out of place.
They're the best at it. Okay, Hank. Cocky Hank time. He was correct he's on pace for his triple digits prediction.
Bloodbath.
Point differential in this series. The Celtics won by 25. You probably kind of wish they had maybe gone by like 35 so you get a little ahead of the pace. But,
yeah, I mean, they got up by so much. They took out the starters, with a lot of time left. But 25 is good. We're on pace.
This is a joke for you.
Yeah, I mean, I said going in, they might drop one game. Cavs will have a historic shooting night, beat them at home or something. But this should be a 4-1, if not 4-0.
When did you know this one was over?
They didn't. They came out slow. Honestly, they didn't shoot great in the first quarter. I was a little bit worried. I told you guys I love the Celtics spread. I love the Celtics first half, and the first quarter I think was tied late in the first quarter. But they turned it on second quarter. Derek White couldn't miss. Jaylen Brown couldn't miss. Probably like halfway through the second quarter.
That's the scary part. Is like Jaylen Brown and Derek White were incredible. Jason Tatum was not that great tonight, at least shooting, and they still
plus 18.
Yeah, right. I know, but I don't think he hit a three, and he wasn't like being super aggressive. I'm not saying he played bad. I'm saying that they 25 pieced him when Jason Tatum wasn't like on his A game. Is that a fair assessment?
Luke, that's fair. I mean, he was facilitating.
This is also part of Cocky. Game. Yeah. This is part of Cocky.
Well, a win's
Hank.
a win. A great superstar player, does what it takes to win. He sees that his other guys are having a good night, and he just helps facilitate.
It did feel like the most casual bloodbath of all time.
Yeah, and PFT, this is the part I forgot about Cocky Hank. If you say that like Jason Tatum, he didn't hit a three. He was 0 for 5 from 3. If you just state that, Hank will be like, well, fuck you.
Yeah. He'll be like, what are you trying to say? And we're saying what Big Cat said was Jason Tatum didn't have his best night. I think we can all agree that's a fact, right?
No, not Hank.
But Derek White was really good.
And Derek win in a plus 18 point differential. That's a great night for Jason Tatum.
Well, think about it this way, Hank. Like a couple years ago, Derek White. He's improved so much in the last 3 years of his game, right? And he's very good. It's undeniable that Derek White is a good player right now. Sorry, he's a great player. He's a Is he a great player or is he a very good player?
Finals MVP plus 4,000 if you want to get a long shot in early.
That's kind of disrespectful to Jason Tatum that you're not betting on Jason Tatum.
He was
Tatum
0 for 5 from 3, PFT.
That's a good point, Big Cat. Yeah, but I guess Hank's not a real fan. But the
like
thing
value.
is, like,
I like value.
They're all playing well. So with Al Horford in for Kristaps Porzingis, didn't seem like it mattered that much. Plus, you got an extra dub that we'll get to in a little bit, where you not only defeated the Heat, you may have just exploded Heat culture because of Jay Butt and Pat Riley going back and forth. So you're vanquishing all your foes right now. You must be feeling really good. You're like Thanos, and I think that movie ends really well for Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one, there was like part 2, was 2 parts, right? The first one, he
Hank does know ball because
fine.
he did. Hank and I were driving up to Wrigley last night, and I was like, "Who's gonna play with Kristaps out?" And he's like, "Horford," but it's gonna really Luke Cornett's gonna be an X factor. Hank knows ball.
Luke Cornett, he was a beast on the boards.
Yeah, he was. He was the X factor.
It was very, very easy for you,
Yeah.
and I look forward to many more easy games like this.
Last NBA game we got to talk about the Knicks Pacers game 1. I feel bad for Pacers fans. Now, the Knicks are. I mean, Josh Hart had 1 billion rebounds. Dante DiVincenzo hit all the big shots. Jalen Brunson still is just playing out of his mind, so it's not taking away from the Knicks. The last 2 minutes did suck, though, because it was just too much refs. And not even if you're like, hey, I'm not saying the Knicks shouldn't have won. I'm just saying there was too much refs. The screen call that they called an illegal screen, which I guess technically was wrong, but it happens every game. Like that, if you take that screen out of the NBA, Bam has to retire tomorrow because that's literally all he does is do that screen. And
He's
then
got very long legs and they get in the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it sucked at the end, and it sucked that the Pacers, like I think it was they had a chance. They were down 1, and then next thing you know, without even a possession happening, because it was like Jalen Brunson foul before the inbound free throw, then another Jalen Brunson. So like it was game over. It sucked. And my biggest problem with this game is if you're going to have reviews that take these games so long and we review everything and it's like mind numbing, how the fuck can't you review a kickball? Because that was actually the thing the Pacers should be most upset about, was that wasn't a kickball on Nesmith. He hit it with his hand and you just can't review it. And that led to Dante DiVincenzo's 3. That was the moment that I can live with the screen because technically it was an illegal screen. The fucking kickball that wasn't a kickball, you should be able to review it.
Well, it wasn't just that they can't review the kickball. It was that the kickball call took away a fast break, probably would have been 2 points. At that point, it was a tie game. So not only was it the 3 that resulted right afterwards, but it denied the Pacers the opportunity to take what seemed like it probably would have been a pretty easy lead for them to take at the time. So the fact that it was called in the first place and then not being able to review, I don't know how they come up with these rules. I'm sure that's probably one that they'll look at in the offseason and be like, yeah, you should be able to review if it hit off his foot or not. I don't know, but it did stink. The moving screen call gave us all PTSD flashbacks of the UConn and Iowa semifinal game in women's college basketball, although that was a more egregious screen than the one in the game last night, the Knicks Pacers one.
Yeah.
And I think that there should be a rule in basketball. If there's an illegal screen and you flop while you're going into the illegal screen, you should be able to get away with the illegal screen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You shouldn't flop. Take it like a man and deal with your inconvenience, and then they'll call it. But if you flop and you act like a fish out there, then they're like, you know what? You cheated too.
Yeah,
it's all out
through
in the wash.
Fight through all screens. I just when it comes to like instant replay, I'm an all or nothing guy. I'm cool if they said tomorrow there's no instant replay and we're just going to go with whatever the refs say and the games will move faster and it will be smoother. I'm all for that. The minute that you start reviewing it, you got to review everything and get it right. Like you just do, because that was such a stupid thing that they couldn't review.
Oh, I'm not in favor of reviewing everything. Because I think that it's a slippery slope to like getting refs out of the game entirely. And I like having refs. Can you imagine if there was one night where they just said absolutely no instant replay? How mad people would get at refs, it would be like, these refs stink.
I'm just I like, don't do reviews for the majority of the game. Do reviews for the last 3 minutes. I don't care. Do every review for the last 3 minutes. Get it right. If you're going to have reviews, just get it right. And then just have a play that you can't review that was clearly wrong. It makes no sense to me. So I don't know. And then the Knicks lost Mitchell Robinson for, I think, the rest of the playoffs. They have no one. Like, they don't play a bench. And they're just, it's all Tibbs, like, just, we're going to fucking grind this. And you guys are, get ready to learn 48, buddy, because that's every guy now.
So they said 8 weeks?
6 to 8 weeks.
They said they're going to reevaluate in 6 to 8 weeks. I looked at a calendar. That appears to be the entire NBA playoffs.
It's also really mean to do that, because then everyone gets just replied there isn't going to be 8 weeks from now. Like, he doesn't deserve that. Mitchell Robinson's fun to watch, but yeah, I mean, they don't play. Mitchell Robinson played 12 minutes last night off the bench. Deuce McBride played 11. That's kind of it. And now you lose one of them. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a knock against Tibbs, that like he doesn't play a lot of guys even during the regular season. So he doesn't have anybody that's ready to step up in case somebody gets hurt.
These guys are ready to go, though. In fact, the fact that they're, like, I think that Tibbs is the one coach, he just walks in and he's like, you guys are all playing 48 tonight. They're like, yeah, we've been waiting for this.
Max, are there any Villanova players that do not currently play in the NBA that could be picked up by the Knicks?
Where's Chris Jenkins?
Chris Jenkins is on the Villanova staff. Love Chris Jenkins. Probably not in NBA game shape right now.
Scotty Reynolds.
Scotty Reynolds could easily lace him up and put him out there.
Easily.
Haven't seen him in years, but there's always something about that guy. He's a gamer.
Yeah.
Ryan Arcidiacono was on the team earlier.
I like
this
that you're
year.
taking this experiment very seriously.
Connor Gillespie, him and TJ McConnell.
Colin Gillespie's on the Nuggets. Gillespie's on the Nuggets. He's going to be a good player in the NBA. That's a promise. That's an absolute promise.
Okay,
I'm done with this experiment. I'm done with this experiment.
Okay,
it's a promise. Hockey, real quick. 54 saves is a fucking shitload of saves. Shesterkin on the Rangers tonight, double overtime. 54 saves.
We have our standing on our head guy. It's Shesterkin. He's a beast. Don't shut the fuck up, Hank. You stop it. Yeah, you stop it, Hank. Listen. All right, congratulations. I tweeted this out. I saw Hank liked it. It was not meant to be liked by you. Congratulations to both your Boston Celtics and your Boston Bruins on winning championships this year. What a magical spring this is for you. I'm very happy.
I would just like to say, PFT, that I did place a pretty big future on the Bruins and the Celtics to win both Eastern Conferences parlayed. And when that hits, I will buy you a pair of headphones that you can lean back in your chair.
That's nice of you.
That's my promise to you.
Yeah. Oh, the story behind these headphones is I went through a real hot streak of buying headphones in airports before flights that didn't fit my phone. And so I've got these and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to use them somewhere. So now I just have them dangling off the side. I appreciate that, Hank. You're such a generous guy.
That's huge, Hank. That's huge of you. But yeah, are we allowed to say Shesterkin played well?
Yeah, I mean, he's also got, I think that's like maybe the best hockey name going. Like, yeah. I do the fans chanting Igor. It's just a great, Igor is just a great hockey name.
Yeah. And we had, and Hank, your Bruins did win game one convincingly.
Yeah, against all
Smash.
Yeah.
Smash. And there's a game going on right now. Oh, here's a fun game that we can do.
Memes didn't show up to this, but he mushed Mr. Pear so hard.
Oh, so hard.
Can I tell you guys something that I'm currently worried about, and it's kind of a personal thing, but it's hockey related. I've gotten 2 random DMs from people in the last 24 hours that have told me that today, Wednesday, Ovechkin's going to retire.
Oh man!
And I'm worried about that, and I'm sad.
Okay, can I make you feel better?
Well, also I got a DM from somebody that's saying that he always dreams of the future, and that 2 nights ago he dreamed I was going to die. So I'm on a cold streak with the predictions right now.
Okay, let me.
If I die, I hope I die before Ovechkin retires. How about that?
All right, I got you. I'm gonna try to make you feel better. The Blackhawks got the number 2 pick tonight in the lottery. The Sharks got number 1, so they're gonna get Celebrini. I'm pretty sure, and this is all based off of our colleague Chiefs tweets, who is a Blackhawks expert. I'm pretty sure that there's a Russian guy they're going to draft with the second pick. Maybe he's just the next Ovechkin. Does that make you feel better?
That you would get.
Yeah.
How does he feel about Putin?
I don't know.
Is he a big Putin guy?
Did that not help?
The NHL needs a big Putin. Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be a big time end of an era, because I think unquestionably he's the best athlete in the history of DC sports. It's like him, Darryl Green, probably
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas, legend. But anyways, that's just a personal thing I'm dealing with. We can talk about teams that are actually good now and still in the playoffs. But Hank's Bruins are awesome. Congratulations, Hank, on making the Eastern Conference Finals and winning the Eastern Conference Finals in both sports.
Yeah. He's muted. Good. I like this.
That
was a great point, Hank. Great point, Hank.
Take some money and buy a microphone that works.
Uphill battle.
Cheap fuck.
It's fun, when you have these sessions when it's every night playoffs. It's fun to kind of switch from underdog to favorite. Like, hockey's going to be tough. Hockey. It's tough to get an inch in the playoffs.
As annoying as you are, I so much love this more than what you were last week. This is great. This is podcasting, boys. This feels like old school PMT.
Just keep winning.
I just imagine Hank waking up on every alternate day. It's like, it's us against the world. And then the next day he wakes up, he's like, fuck all these little pipsqueaks. We're dominant.
Bloodbath. Yeah. Bloodbath. All right. Last two things I had. One, football is back, because we had the official first sign of football being back when Schefter tweeted out the announcement of when the schedules are being announced. Best feeling ever. That's the sign. That's like the first leaf turning in the fall. Schefter has told us that there will be an announcement coming up.
Yeah, but they haven't even said when it's going to be, right?
No, they said next Wednesday.
It's next Wednesday.
Wednesday.
We haven't exact, because usually there's like a pre-announcement where they say the NFL is getting ready to announce when the schedule will be released. So it's like an announcement for the announcement for the announcement. But yeah, I'm very, very excited, because then you get to print it out, you get to look at it, and you get to count. Every team is going to win 11 games next year. It's the best day.
Yeah. And then the last thing, should we do real quick? We probably have to. Austin Rivers went on McAfee's show and started the debate that I think we have probably every 2 years. He said there's 30 guys in the NBA right now that could play on an NFL roster, and none that could play from the NFL on an NBA roster. I love these debates. They're my favorite. I think we can all agree before we even dive into this that really we should be focusing on the fact that everyone on an NBA roster, NFL roster, could play for the U.S. men's national team and win us a World Cup. But these debates rock because we can't really ever figure it out, but everyone's going to spend an entire afternoon debating it. I'm very clear on my take, but I want to hear your guys' take first where it goes.
All right, so my big problem with this debate is that he didn't bring this up in July.
Yeah.
This is the exact content that we need in July. You're way too early. The NBA playoffs are going on right now. But my take is, well, of course, Austin Rivers would think that guys in the NFL can't play in the NBA because Austin Rivers can't even play in the NBA.
Correct.
And that's his sport. So I understand where he's coming from on that. I think that NFL players, there's probably no NFL players that could play in the NBA. There's been one guy, was it Charlie Ward, won the Heisman Trophy, and then he went on to have a very long career playing in the NBA. That was the one guy that's ever done it, and he was like a very unique case. Do I need to remind people that people forget that Antonio Gates played college basketball, that Jimmy Graham played college basketball? These guys played college basketball. There's a skill set that translates to the NFL from football. Most of them probably wouldn't want to get hit. Anthony Davis would probably break his neck putting on a helmet. But for the most part, you could find some of the bigger guys, more athletic guys, and they could play at least receiver or tight end. I don't know if there's 30 of them. I shouldn't be saying my opinion. I want to hear what Jim Harbaugh has to say about this.
Yes.
I'm sure he's got an awesome answer ready to go.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Hank?
There would be way more NFL players that could play NBA than reverse.
Disagree.
You're insane.
If
You're
we do
absolutely
this,
crazy.
So if we did this, so the parameters, because the argument changes
How
and
many
people
6'8" guys are in the NFL?
hold on, shift it around. But if you do, if the argument is simply you have to make a roster tomorrow. So not like, oh, I get a year to get prepped. There's no way 30 guys from the NBA could make a roster in the NFL tomorrow. I think maybe one or two could make a roster. And I'm talking like special teams, whatever. Like that, I'm not saying they're like a super impactful guy. There's 0 guys on the NFL roster right now who could play on an NBA roster.
That's a semantical argument because it's way easier to get a short-term contract for an NFL team when NBA, like, there's only 12 spots.
That's the whole premise of the conversation.
Big 15, Big 15
all the time.
Big
15,
15.
whatever.
No, but Hank, when we're talking about, by the way, if we're going to include special teams, I mean, Wimby blocking kicks, just lined up in Wimby and Chet right down the middle.
Hank, you think that? All right. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do the time frame? You want to do 3 months? Max.
Jordan Mailata got drafted without ever playing a down of football.
Thank you. Antonio Gates played college basketball, not college football.
Draymond Green played college football.
Okay. What's that supposed to prove?
But have you ever heard of someone in the NBA getting drafted without ever playing, like picking up a basketball before?
No.
It happens in football. Like every other year you hear about someone
Ben
from
Simmons got drafted, he couldn't even shoot.
Ben Simmons is a great point, Hank. Ben Simmons can't
Anthony
shoot.
couldn't shoot when he got to the league. Rajon Rondo can't shoot.
Ben Simmons can't shoot in an NBA game. We've watched Ben Simmons every single summer in an empty gym not miss. That's how good NBA players are. They're on a different level in terms of like you could get every guy on an NBA roster, put them in an open gym, they will not miss. They go to a game, they're shooting 40%, 30%, Ben Simmons, whatever worse. You put an NFL guy in an open gym, you think he's missing? He's missing. He doesn't have the same skill. There's skills. Athleticism is a wash. NFL guys are getting upset because they're like, well, you don't think NFL guys are some of the best athletes in the world. I think NFL guys could probably play more sports than NBA guys in terms of just like I've seen NBA guys try to throw a baseball. NFL guys, it feels like a lot of NFL guys have played a lot of different sports. NBA, the height, the skill level with dribbling and shooting is on a completely different level that you can't just be like, oh, yeah, this guy's tall. Oh, Devontae Adams is really awesome. He could play. I feel like it's not even close.
Let's think about the difference, though, between NFL and NBA players, right? Maybe the best NFL basketball player that I know of right now, big dude, Myles Garrett. You know how tall he is? He's 6'4".
Correct.
He's 6'4". He would be like a smaller guard,
right,
in the NBA.
Steph Curry's 6'4". Myles Garrett would also foul out in 5 minutes if he played in an NBA game, and that's not because Myles Garrett isn't an insane freak of an athlete. He is. It's because these guys, like their movement, their steps, the way the pump fakes, like all those things that come into an NBA game. Myles Garrett would just like Chet Holmgren. Someone's like, oh, he'd be able to lock down Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren would put 30 on him and he would be fouled out in a second.
Now, a better question is, are there any NBA players that you think could play defense in the NFL, like be able to tackle and do all that shit? Marcus Smart, maybe. I could see Westbrook. I could see Westbrook as like a safety, maybe as a safety, and he's like the water boy where he just imagines the quarterback saying Westbrook to him before every play, and then he goes fucking nuts.
Tyrese Maxey has NFL speed. He does. Like I think that the argument gets lost because people think that it's like a knock on NFL players. It's not. NFL players are insane. And I think the Austin Rivers comment makes no sense because I do not think 30 guys could go and want to take those hits and like have to deal with the toughness that takes to be in the NFL. It's just the NBA. I feel like I don't know if you guys like watching an NBA player just play basketball with no one around. You just see, you're like, this is just so different than everything else. It's just so. We got a guy in our office, Mark Titus, who is like, he doesn't miss shooting, and he's, you know what I mean, like, and he didn't play at Ohio State. He played. I shouldn't say that, but he there's so many levels to this. Hank, I can't believe you think that the NBA players, like, I can't. I'm actually shocked by your take.
I mean, I was trying to do some just statistical analysis with mine based off of the numbers game.
But the numbers game aren't even in your favor. It's harder to make the NBA than it is the NFL.
But there's way more. It's what? Again, I don't want to get roster shamed here. 52 on the active roster.
But that's the reverse. Your argument's reversed, that you could make an NBA player. There's more chances to make a roster.
Chances to make a couple spots. Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about the reversal.
That's the whole hypothetical.
I think you were just trying to argue.
I like that.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to think about it a little more, but I just also feel like there's so many guys in the NBA are like, you point out the size thing. There's too many tall people in the NBA that
agreed
would not be able to play NFL.
Agreed.
Yeah, there's a ton of people in the NBA that would be able to play.
That's what we're saying.
Receiver, what are you going to do?
We're saying it's very hard to do either one, but if you had to say which one would have a better chance, it's definitely the NBA translating to the NFL, without a doubt. Name one player in the NFL that you think could play in the NBA.
I saw some Drake May high school highlights.
Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean could do it.
Everyone says the high school highlights. Do you know how far being a really good high school basketball player, someone who like DeAndre Hopkins played basketball at Clemson. There was someone else who
Keon Coleman you retweeted.
Keon Coleman was like he was not he couldn't. I don't know if he wanted to like pursue basketball at Michigan State, but like being a good basketball player at Michigan State doesn't mean you're an NBA roster guy. There's still like a level to that. Hank?
Yeah. That's the face Hank makes when he knows that he's wrong, but he won't say I'm wrong.
No, I mean you made some good arguments. I'm not gonna admit defeat, but I'm gonna do some more research and come back to you on Thursday.
Okay. I would appreciate more research.
I just want one player. I want to know one player that you think could do it.
It's also it's like it's one of those like Stephen Shea tweeted Mike Evans dunking.
I would have to see Lamar Jackson's jumper, but
he's like 6'2".
Mike, there was
but he's athletic as fuck and fast.
Mike Evans dunking
handles and a shot.
But I'll say this, Hank. Mike Evans said that he loved basketball and like was considering, and he says that he thought he could play in the NBA. Mike Evans wasn't a top 100 recruit in high school. Like the odds are completely stacked against him.
I think Jameis could do it. He can do anything.
And again, I want it very clear. Austin Rivers is an idiot. I do not think there's 30 guys in the NBA who could play in the NFL tomorrow. I think there's like one or two. There's 0 in the NFL who could play in the NBA tomorrow. That's the whole point. Also,
Joe Burrow.
Do you know who I thought of right away? Because remember, the Avalanche just won. Congrats to the Avs getting game 1. Remember Joseph Fourier, the Lions tight end, who was 6'7", 250, and he played like 2 years for the Lions. And all he did was goal line package, and he would just stand there and he would catch a touchdown. Like I think his rookie year, he had 18 catches and 7 of them were touchdowns. You like if Giannis was in goal line package and you just split him out wide and you just threw him a jump ball, how is that not a touchdown every time?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Wemby, just in terms of putting him on an island and being like, here, I'm going to throw the ball as high as I can, and no one's going to just put Wemby back there on Hail Marys.
Right.
You would never get scored on a long pass like that. The size is a real issue because you have to be insanely skilled to play in the NBA if you're undersized. If you're like less than 6'4", I would say you have to have just out of this world next level skills compared to even the greatest basketball players that are currently in the NBA to make it happen with a career. So I don't think it's even like a remotely close conversation. There's probably, I would say there's maybe 10. I could see there being 10 guys in the NBA that if you gave them a year to train and if they loved it, that other question is like, would they like playing football?
No.
Like they might just be like, this sucks. Yeah.
Definitely not.
Joe Burrow won a high school championship as a freshman, Division II Southeast District Player of the Year, senior year, 4-year varsity letterman, great court vision he would definitely have.
Okay.
That's
when was the last time he played ball?
Well, I mean, he focused on football, but it's like if he focused all that energy on basketball, I'm sure he.
You think he would have gone pro?
Like NBA players, if they focused on football, there's probably like a handful of them that just by their size and athleticism could find a spot.
Yeah, there's so many positions. All you have to do is run.
Okay, here's Hank. Here's part of the argument. if you took the measurables of like NBA players and you had them like do all of the combine drills, NFL, there would be a lot of NFL scouts who'd be like, kind of like what Max was saying, like, oh, that guy's got the raw athleticism. He's a project. We'd take him. If you take all the NFL players and put them in the NBA combine, you'd have to eliminate almost 70% of them just based on height immediately.
Probably more than that. Probably more than 70%. And then you'd watch them shoot, and you'd probably get rid of another like 95% of them.
And then you have Joe Burrow.
And then
I'll give you Joe Burrow just because we love Joe Burrow. But Hank, I would like you to do some more research and maybe look it up. I did like everyone just falling for the trap where they were like Antonio Gates. It's like, yeah, he played basketball at Kent State. He was so far away from the NBA, and he's a Hall of Fame tight end.
That's the exact opposite argument that you should be making.
Right.
Wait, they were doing the Antonio Gates as an example that proves the point of why an NFL player okay, that's really bad logic even for the internet. I'm impressed.
It was really bad logic. They're like, oh, Antonio Gates could hoop. It's like, no, dude. He played basketball to his maximum ability and then was like, oh shit, I'll be a tight end and be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah, the best ever.
You're right. We needed this to happen in
Probably
July.
not the best ever. One of the best ever for that era.
We needed this in July, but
this would be the perfect like all-star MLB All-Star Game week conversation to have.
Yeah. So we'll do it again. But yeah, sound off in the comments. Tell us why we're wrong. These are my favorite hypotheticals because we would never find it out. And also
now a hockey player could play in the NBA.
Dude, I loved hockey players, hockey guys chiming in. It was like 1 out of every 20 tweets being like, try to put any of these guys on skates. Wouldn't be able to do it. No shit. Shit. Also, everyone should know that Will Compton is the one who's pushing this hard, and his brain doesn't really work.
Wait, Will Compton's saying that NFL players could play?
Yeah, he's saying they could dominate. Well, Will Compton did a very smart thing. He changed the argument. He changed the debate completely to who would do better, an entire NBA team of NFL players or an entire NFL team of NBA players. So basically saying, imagine if we had all the NBA players try to block TJ Watt, and then it's just obviously like, okay, that makes no sense. I think both teams would get smoked. If you had all NFL players play against the best NBA team, they would get fucking 50-pieced.
I want Will to dive deeper into this wormhole and to do an NBA team of all the best white NFL players against an NBA team of all the best black NFL players, and which one would win. Roster breakdown time.
He'll get there. All right, we're going to kick it to ourselves. We got 2 interviews. Kirk Goldsberry, Verne Lundquist. We also have Hot Seat Cool Throne and Pardon Your Take on back in studio. Before we kick it to ourselves, though, quick word. Everyone probably, when we're PLL guys, the tragedy in Mexico, Callum Robinson, his brother and his friend. Really, really, really sad story. There is a GoFundMe for the families. I think we can probably pin it to the videos. So if you're a lacrosse guy, really, really sad. And we love the PLL. And so anything that you want to give, we appreciate it. And Hank, you got anything with that?
Yeah, we'll share all the links. Absolutely heartbreaking stuff. They were just on a surf trip. Carter, the other guy, the friend of the Robinsons, he was about to get married.
Shit.
So there's some GoFundMe's for the brother, one for Carter. We'll share all the links, and I'm sure everything is appreciated. Just a very, very sad story.
Yeah. Donate if you can. If you feel like it. It's terrible. They were trying to have fun, and I think they're still investigating what happened, but it sounds like they caught the people that did it, which is, I guess that's good news. Because they're off the streets there, but yeah, it's heartbreaking. Their family's over in Australia right now, obviously, just can't be in a good place right now. So if you can help them out, that'd be appreciated.
Yeah,
we'll donate too.
Yeah. Okay, let's kick it back to ourselves in studio. Okay, Hot Seat Cool Throne is brought to you by our friends at Coors Light. Hot Seat Cool Throne is presented by Coors Light. There are plenty of chances in life to make things better by choosing chill. Grab every opportunity to choose chill, then reach for a refreshing Coors Light. When mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged for a smoother finish when you embrace a chill mindset. It's a good time to choose chill. Crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. We love Coors Light. It is the best beer out there. So make the most out of times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/take. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Henry, hot seat, cool throne.
My hot seat is Jimmy Butler.
Oh, we should talk about Jimmy. J-Butt.
Old J-Butt.
Old J-Butt.
Heat culture, absolute shambles. Pat Riley did a press conference on the end of the season, asked about Jimmy Butler trolling when he wasn't playing, and he said, if you're not on the court playing, you should keep your mouth shut.
Kind of agree with that.
I don't disagree with Pat Riley saying that because you're going up against the Celtics, and for a guy that's not playing to be like, yeah, we expect to beat him every time, and to be like talking that shit and then not having to be the one that backs it up, I think Pat Riley is probably correct about this. I don't know. I mean, J-Butt is pretty hard-headed himself, but he might just be like, yeah, you know what, Pat's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm way off on that.
I'm going to disagree. I think J-Butt will probably, because there's also the contract thing going on right now where I think J-Butt is got 2 years left, extension time. Is he bigger than Heat culture? I saw a tweet from, it's from one of those like NBA Central, like not 100% legitimate
source.
Sure it's not NBA Central.
No, it's called.
Remember when I thought Draymond Green
NBA
had
Central.
a ball sack jewelry made?
The Dunk Central is the at. So
okay,
that sounds legit.
It said that the 76ers are the favorites to land Jimmy Butler in a potential trade.
Oh, that's interesting.
So can you imagine how good the Sixers would be if they had Jimmy Butler on them?
And Embiid?
Man, that would be a great team. Actually, that's the one sliding doors moment.
Tyrese Maxey wasn't on that team, so it would be a different team.
If J-Butt had been
James
on the
Harden.
J-Butt, if he was on the Sixers the last 4 years, I think they get a title.
So
yeah,
probably
2.
Maybe.
So J-Butt has 2 years. The second year is a player option with the Heat. So he's definitely in that zone of I'm ready for an extension. I'm about to be 35. I would like to get paid a lot more money. He gets paid a lot of money, but that's how it works in the NBA. And then Pat Riley has to decide whether he is too big for Heat culture. It has to suck. I feel like Jimmy Butler is such a shit talker, which motivates him and makes him be a great player. But there has to be a small part of you that's like, when I shit talk and I'm not playing and then I watch my boys get their asses kicked, that's got to suck.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Butler might be the one guy who's like, nah, I'll still shit talk.
He'll shit talk his team for not having the balls to go out there and back up his words.
Yeah.
I also love Pat Riley just anytime he gets behind a microphone and roast people. Pat Riley is a cool guy.
Yeah.
He's probably the coolest old guy in America right now.
Well, he also
he's like a mob boss.
He's a mob boss, and whatever they decide to do with Jimmy Butler, like the Heat somehow have just, other than a couple years since they drafted D Wade, have never really been bad, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah,
like they always find a way to get new guys that are really good and fit Heat culture. So maybe it's just the time has passed. Heat culture with Jimmy Butler no longer a good marriage.
I saw a clip from Shaq's podcast where he said when he was on the Heat, I think like Jason Williams was late for a practice. Pat Riley told him to get the fuck out, and then Shaq like spoke up for him. Was like, no, like it's cool. Like, he's just a minute late. He told Shaq to get the fuck out, and then one of the guys in the locker room that's close to Pat Riley was like, yeah, here's the U-Haul address. You're gonna be getting boxes soon enough. And then he did. They got a call later the afternoon, like, we're getting ready, releasing you, trading you, whatever. And he was so mad he tried to show back up to the facility, and Pat Riley had 35 cops there, like, and they're like, yeah, we're told you can't come in.
That's what I'm saying. Like Pat Riley,
he
knows Heat culture and he knows when it's expired.
I think the for the Heat in the last, it feels like 20 years, their floor has been better than you expect them to be.
Correct.
That's as bad as it gets in Miami.
And 3 titles. 5 or how many? No.
Well, they choked
4, 5,
big 3,
7 trips.
Well, they beat the Celtics every year.
7 trips to the NBA title.
Yeah, they did
NBA
choke.
Finals.
They did choke. Well, they turned off the air conditioning in San Antonio.
Yeah, but I mean they've been a very well run organization under Pat Riley, I would say. So I will side with if the divorce happens, I'll probably side with Pat Riley just based on the fact that he's proven time and time again he can make the Heat good.
The worst decision they've made, the only bad decision that I can think of, is that they retired Jordan's number.
Yeah, total cuck
Respect.
move. Total cuck.
Big time cuck move.
Total cuck move. All right, your cool throne?
Cool throne is the Met Gala.
Yeah.
Met Gala. Do we know what goes on at the Met Gala? We've been trying to figure
do this
out
every year,
for 7 years, I think.
Yeah. No.
They just talk about what happened outside the Met Gala.
There's just rich people show up in there's some theme. What was the theme this year?
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty.
Oh,
Or no, Garden of Time.
Garden of Time.
Oh, that explains Ben Simmons' briefcase that had the giant clock on it. I thought he was carrying a bomb in there.
Yeah. Cool clock.
You want to bring it to school, Ahmed?
Yeah, the Met Gala is weird. I don't.
Who are your guys' favorite looks?
I liked Ed Sheeran. He looked like he was in Dumb and Dumber a little bit.
I like the guy who was wearing just an umbrella. That's something I would like to wear. You couldn't even see the person underneath it. That's kind of a fat.
The woman that wore sand?
No, I did not see the woman that wore sand.
How do you wear sand?
I don't know what she did. She had to get carried up the stairs because she couldn't.
By the way,
sand.
Loved Lizzo. Lizzo was serving looks last night.
Yeah.
Did you see her? She looked like a paper bag. She did.
She was in Star Wars.
I wanted to tip her out. I wanted to tip her out,
and she looked like a Star Wars.
If you tipped her out and poured her over, I would think that there'd be some sort of cheap gas station liquor that would come out of her.
Can I say an idea that people cannot steal because it's a great idea that someone tweeted at me that we're going to do?
Yes.
So legally, no one's allowed to steal this. Who's listening right now? This is from Millie Goats. He tweeted me last night. I think, and I talked to Dave about it, I think we're going to do a bet gala at some point this year where we invite some famous people and we just bet every single game on the board and we dress up. That'd be pretty good, right?
That's a good idea.
Well,
we just come up with a theme.
Yeah, you need a theme.
Overs.
I think just betting, gambling on sports.
Yeah. Let's see. The fried food. That'd be good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good theme. Everyone dresses up like
Blue.
a French fry. Blue.
Oh,
okay,
blue's
yeah,
a
blue.
good theme.
Good. You'd be good at this.
Yeah.
I'll be a chair.
I need to see that. Is this the lady that dressed up as sand?
That doesn't look like sand.
That's not sand. That's the hottest sand I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I would, yeah. If that's sand, then all the skin on my dick is gone.
That's some good sand.
Great sand.
Yeah. Okay. Good hot seat, cool throne, Hank.
Thanks.
Yeah. PFT.
Yeah. Hank's really good at taking her hot seat, cool thrones.
I did have the Met Gala as well.
Yeah, I think Hank just sits down. I don't think he thinks about what he should say for hot seat, cool throne. I think he sits down and ponders, what do you think Big Cat and PFT will say?
Correct.
And then that's what he comes up with.
Correct.
So my hot seat is going to be Giselle. Giselle was not happy with the roast.
Yeah.
Nor was Aaron Hernandez's wife.
That was a wild quote by Aaron Hernandez's wife. I feel bad for her in the fact that her life, the father of her children and her fiance turned out to be a serial killer and then killed himself in prison. Probably not the easiest last few years for her, but her reasoning of my daughter someday has to watch these jokes and the hero that she thought her dad was is going to be pierced. I feel like the murder part would probably be the part where that he wasn't a good guy.
Yeah, just a quick Google search.
I'll
take care of it.
The jokes really weren't the problem. I think it's the murder that probably one day she's gonna be like, oh, he wasn't a great guy.
Yeah, she said, it's sad I'm trying to raise my children in such a cruel world. He murdered probably 4 people.
Yeah.
That's pretty cruel.
That is cruel.
And also she's kind of making the implication that she's really the only one that's harmed by these jokes.
Correct.
In the entire world.
Correct.
It's just her, and she's like, that sucks for me. I'm sure it does suck for her to have to hear people. But also, if you're her, why would you tune into the Tom Brady
Yeah.
roast?
Also,
that feels like you're opting in to specifically hearing jokes about your dead husband.
And the people I feel bad about the most would be the loved ones of the people who are murdered who have to hear the jokes.
Yeah.
That would probably be the front of the line of oh, that's got to suck.
Yeah. You know what sucked for O.J. Simpson's children was Norm Macdonald.
Mm-hmm. That was probably when they figured it out.
That was the worst time. That was the worst time. But yeah, Giselle's not. She's not happy either. Also, she should have been the last person.
Should have been there.
Yeah,
she should have roasted him. It would have been great.
Who?
Giselle. If Giselle had roasted Tom Brady, it would have been great. Obviously, would have been awkward, but would have not been great.
No.
Yes, it would have.
No.
I don't think she would have gone because she just would have just told the truth to him.
Yeah, tell the truth.
And that would have been great. But she avoided a major shot when Bert and Tom did the whole breakdown of what a bad guy Tom Brady is. And they started talking about her. They didn't address the fact that she's a 6'2" stunning German model whose family immigrated to South America in the middle of the century. She avoided a major shot with that one.
Imagine if she had just walked out and been like, Tommy never made me come.
No, that would have been better
Boom, roasted.
if she said it that way.
Yeah, came.
Tommy never made me came.
You never made me came. Boom, roasted. See ya. That would have been great.
Yeah.
I can't make you come and myself come.
By the way, from the fallout of the Tom Brady roast,
I like that.
it does feel like Tom Brady was being serious when he said no more Kraft jokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
People thought that was maybe fake, but the fact that there was never another Kraft joke made it seem real.
Which even more respect to Tom because he just let all the other jokes fly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Nikki Glaser went on Howard Stern and said the only things that were off limits were Kraft and Tom's kids, which I'm fine with that. Like that's, well, maybe not the Kraft part, but the kids, totally fine with that. The Kraft part, I feel like he should have. You can make fun of Robert Kraft.
Yeah, you can.
That's punching up.
You can make fun of the hand job. She even said in her reason why that she didn't make fun of him because he is so old and powerful.
Yeah.
It's like those are really
That's exactly who you got to make fun
that
of.
you should be making fun of.
Correct.
I like the people that are saying Tom Brady like saved comedy
Will Compton?
by letting people do that. I saw some other people.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Taylor. Yeah, Taylor Luan.
Yeah.
And Will Compton both agreed.
We can
Save comedy.
We can say the word gay again.
It's
Save
okay.
comedy.
Yeah.
That was a great roast. It was a great roast.
It was very funny.
And I'm happy that Belichick never shook Robert Kraft's hand.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. My cool throne is Boeing. Boeing's on the cool throne because another whistleblower died. So this makes two. This makes two in the last 6 months. This guy, he got some sort of a bacterial infection that it progressed within 2 weeks and he died. And so it's 2 out of the 60 or 2 out of the 50 that have come forward against Boeing are now dead.
Oof.
So one by one.
Did he testify or was he about to testify?
I don't know what the schedule was like for his testifying, but he was in the process of being a whistleblower. I think we just need to rebrand whistleblowing.
Yeah.
Because right now you hear whistleblow and you're like, ref.
It feels,
fuck him.
Yeah, it feels like Boeing, there's definitely something going on.
Yeah.
I would say so.
For the last 5 years.
I'm not suicidal.
Neither am I. The planes have been crashing.
Mm-hmm. I did see one guy say, he just tweeted, he's like, hey, Boeing, he added Boeing. He's like, my bookie's been talking a lot of shit about you guys.
Yeah.
I like that tweet.
Yeah, Boeing is the new Hillary.
Yeah. So it's just a heads up. All right. My hot seat is Scotty Scheffler because the PGA Championship is next week and he still doesn't have a baby.
Interesting.
We've discussed this the baby thing. That was not Scotty Scheffler's fault. It was the media's fault for basically forcing him to say he would leave, even though his wife was not even close to being due. But doesn't it apply for PGA Championship now?
He's not playing in this week's Wells Fargo,
right?
Which I'll be calling on PGA Tour Live. But
okay, but
it's the signature event,
right? So, but isn't that? Aren't we getting? We're a week and a half away, and there's no baby.
It'd be funny if you said, yeah, you know what, the Masters is one thing, but if she goes into labor during the PGA Championship, I can't leave. That tournament's too important.
It's way too important, especially after winning the Masters. He's got to, now he has to show up to that.
Yeah.
Some eggplant parm. I heard Whitney say that.
Some Thai food.
That's what does it, eggplant parm?
Yeah.
Step off a curb. That could do it.
Yeah, Max said uneven surfaces.
Yeah.
What if you just have sex again?
Could just do that.
Yeah.
Then you might have twins.
Yeah, that's how
twins are
that's
made.
how it works.
All right, in my cool throne, a story that I don't know why it's not talked about more. Josh Hart and injuries, because this is a tweet from April 7th from the reporter Fred Katz from New York. He does The Athletic. He said Josh Hart said when he took a half-court heave to end the second quarter, this is early April, he felt his wrist click, and it almost clicked back into place. Said he went to Brunson at the half and told him, I can shoot threes now. This is basically the plot from Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, exactly.
And Josh Hart has been shooting a lot better from three, and he's been scoring a lot more. Is Josh Hart just did one injury to his wrist make him a superstar?
I think it's funny that Josh Hart was so bad at shooting threes that he got injured and it improved his shot, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe Caitlin Clark could learn a lot from Josh Hart, maybe fall off her bike at one point and fix her mechanics.
So Josh Hart is a career 31% or 34% 3-point shooter. Or no, sorry, I'm reading that's his field goal percentage. Either way, in these playoffs, he's like in the 30s. In these playoffs, he's shooting 43% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
His wrist clicked, and he now can score.
Maybe it's also Tibbs just playing him every single minute of every single game,
which I love.
He's finally gotten good enough at basketball where he can shoot a 3.
But why isn't this being talked about more? Josh Hart is now just a lethal 3-point shooter because his wrist clicked.
Yeah,
he's got to make sure his wrist doesn't re-click.
Yeah, that would be bad. But it's also making me just think about injuring myself until I get good at things.
Right.
You never know. Every injury you have might be a blessing in disguise.
We should just start breaking our wrists.
Hank, maybe if you slit your Achilles tendon, you'll be able to dunk.
You might as well try. If you get desperate, we'll do it for you.
Yeah, we'll wait till like November, and then I'll start doing the crack science shit.
Okay. Crack science, I like
crack
that.
Science, just start injuring yourself.
With a Scotty Scheffler thing, that reminded me of Charlotte, the pregnant stingray.
Yep.
Allegedly. I just looked her up. Bitch still ain't giving birth. She was never pregnant. And now people are catching on. Now the youths are on.
Finally.
Now TikTok is all over this shit.
Finally.
You got all the kids out there questioning this bitch.
Remember, we were questioning a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, credit to us. Jake, your hot seat, cool throne.
My hot seat's myself. I'm going to take accountability here.
Oh, yeah.
And
big time.
We talked about it earlier in the show. We talked about the game, but there was a baby bump that I did not alert you guys on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Brandon Carlo of the Boston Bruins had a baby, flew down to South Florida, and scored a goal.
Yeah.
Against your hometown team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just disappointed in myself.
Listen, Jake, don't beat yourself up. It's not like he had like crazy odds to score a goal, 13-1.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And it's not like everyone then tweeted us after being like, did you guys bet it? Did you guys bet it? Did you guys bet it? Yeah. So it's at least that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It felt personal, Jake.
Well, now's a good time to get redemption and tell you that Rudy Gobert just had a baby.
Okay, so should we score? Should we
score a goal?
Just score
Rudy
a goal.
will score a goal.
Score a goal.
Yeah.
No, that was a huge miss. Could have really used that winner.
So I'll pay you guys back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, you can't.
I need $13,000.
You can't.
Yeah,
you're never going to be able to pay me back for that one.
Yeah.
That one was a butterfly effect.
Oh.
All losses for the next month are kind of on you.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
My cool throne is moms. This is a PSA. Get your moms Mother's Day this Sunday.
Yes.
So just a reminder for literally all the AWLs. We have some stuff in the Barstool store. Just make sure you don't show up empty-handed Sunday.
It kind of sucks that Mother's Day is the same weekend that we change the clocks. That's the only thing that sucks for them.
Yeah, because
they get one less hour of Mother's Day.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, moms. One less hour of sleep.
Yep. So
really, it should be the opposite.
It should. We should move the clocks back for Mother's Day instead we're moving them forward.
And Father's Day.
Yeah. What do you think, Hank? This sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
I genuinely. Yep.
That's why they did the Met Gala with the whole time thing.
Ben Simmons, that was actually, he was paid by big clocks.
Yeah.
How did he get the invite?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Like, isn't it the A-list of A-listers?
I think if
he had a lot of time.
Yeah. He's a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's playing basketball.
Interesting.
So he's got a lot of time. And that's probably something you have to agree to months ago. And he was like, oh, May, no problem.
Yeah.
Got no problem being there.
Yeah.
No prior commitments that I can foresee.
Okay, so Mother's Day, make sure you get your mother something. Get him a free subscription to Pardon My Take. We'll make a graphic. We'll put out a graphic maybe on Friday's show. One free subscription to all mothers.
Because we love moms so much on this show.
I love moms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Good job. Hot seat, cool throne, everyone. Let's get to some interviews. We have Verne Lundquist and Kirk Goldsberry. PFT, before we go to Verne Lundquist.
Let's go. Verne Lundquist is brought to you by our great friends over at Part of My Cheesesteak. We had a bunch of Part of My Cheesesteak last week. It's so good. It's so good. I love everything on the menu there. The buffalo chicken cheesesteak is one of my personal favorites. I like the classic. I like the secret shop from Part of My Cheesesteak just to make sure they're still good. The Chipotle chicken is great. Chicken bacon ranch, awesome. They've got loaded fries, desserts, lunch, dinner, and late night. You can order the Big Cat Combo, and you can get your cheesesteak of choice, fries, and a drink, or you can get the Max Special. That's right, they got the Max Special 2 sodas. With more than 1,500 locations nationwide, find a Part of My Cheesesteak near you. Order yours now at pardonmycheesesteak.com. It's pardonmycheesesteak.com, and you can use promo code PMC20, PMC20, for 20% off your order at participating locations. And now, here's Verne Lundquist.
Okay, we now welcome on a very, very, very special guest, an absolute legend of the game. It is Verne Lundquist. He is the voice of many of our favorite memories in sports. Verne, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. And the first question I had, maybe the toughest question, you just retired. Can we get you out of retirement? Because we don't want to lose Verne Lundquist and you calling some of the greatest moments of our lives.
I think it's a little late to call King's X, especially because CBS was so kind, and all of my colleagues were at Augusta 2 weeks ago. It was a lavish goodbye, which was deeply appreciated by me. But I've told a couple of other folks, I'm 83 years old. I have a mild case of COPD. I have a mild case of type 2 diabetes. I have sleep apnea, and I cannot remember what I had for breakfast. So other than that, I have no issues whatsoever.
We could get over those.
Yeah.
Listen, if they just have a Verne Lundquist opt-in broadcast, I would opt in every single time. It's like, hey, he might not call it perfectly, but it doesn't matter. We just want to hear your voice.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. But I'm gonna sidle off into retirement. My wife and I have been married 42 years. We celebrated our first anniversary at Augusta in 1983, and we celebrated our 42nd there 2 weeks ago. So not only for me, but also for my wife, Nancy, it's a very, very, very special place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you made it more special for everybody else that's been watching it. I don't know if the chicken or the egg situation, but maybe all those great moments happened on 16 because Verne was there in his little tree stand looking down, and you made all that happen. But did you ever think that that the very last thing that we would see at Augusta is a picture of Tiger Woods shaking hand with a tree, and people saying Tiger bidding farewell to the GOAT, Verne Lundquist, and it's just a tree with a hand sticking out of it?
Well, there's another view of that meeting, and I understand that Tiger was on Jimmy Fallon's show last week. I'm not sure when it was, but I've seen video of it, and there was great sport made of the fact that he seemed to be. I was behind a tree, and there is another shot of Tiger and me. Guys, I had 3 goals going into what I knew was going to be my last one. I wanted to meet Scotty Scheffler. I'd never met him. I did that. I wanted to say goodbye to Tiger. I was able to do that. And I also wanted to say, and then to thank Tiger and to say goodbye to Jack. And I was able to do all 3. So mission accomplished, as the old television show used to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's talking about the Masters specifically. Obviously, the golfers hit the shots. But I know you're a humble guy, but have you had a moment where you could step back and be like, my call of some of these iconic moments, specifically the Tiger chip in, like that's what elevates a sports moment to something that your voice is just like bouncing in my brain when I think about that shot. And have you had a moment where you're like, that's pretty cool that I am so intertwined with some iconic sports moments?
Yes, believe me, and I think as a broadcaster, first of all, I get it if you're a sports commentator or broadcaster or announcer, whatever term you want to use. Yes, down distance, fact, who has the ball, what's the pitch count, that's all important. But essentially, we make our living as storytellers, and I think your purpose in doing this is to give the viewer or the listener a reason to care about the outcome. And you do that by narratives, and you do that by telling stories, anecdotal information, both good and bad, positive and negative, about the people involved, the teams involved, or the management involved. And that's what draws people into the broadcast. And I think if you can humanize the people who are appearing in front, then you've accomplished your job. And more often than not, I've been blessed. First of all, you go to a sporting event, and I've done it now for 61 years. I started here in Austin, which is my hometown, and but you hope that something memorable breaks out, and then you pray to the heavens that you're capable of adding commentary that is purposeful and suitable for the topic. And I've been blessed in that sense because I've been lucky enough to have those moments break out and then to find the adequate words more often than not.
Yeah, you've done a great job of that. I've also been impressed over the years when you know when to let a moment breathe, when to not talk over something important that's happening if you want to give the people a sense of the atmosphere in the stadium, on the courts, wherever you happen to be calling it. Is that something that you made a conscious effort to do, where you could just understand and feel when, hey, maybe it's time for me to take a step back and let the moment speak for itself?
I had 3 mentors, the oldest of whom I doubt you guys have been made aware of. He was the voice of the Green Bay Packers. His name was Ray Scott, and he passed away 25 years ago, I guess. I was lucky enough to get to know Ray. He was one of the announcers on the first 1 or 2 Super Bowls. But here, when Bart Starr and Boyd Dowler were the stars of the Packers back in the 60s. And here was a typical Ray Scott call. Starr, Dowler, touchdown. Well, hell, they can see what's going on. You don't need a whole lot more than that for that moment. The other was the late Frank Gleber, who's long forgotten, and that is a pitiable shame. Frank was a friend and a mentor of mine. We lost him at the age of 51. He died of a heart attack while jogging, ironically. But he was a master of all trades. And he said to me once, Verne, if they ever ask you to do anything, they being network sports, and I've worked for ABC, CBS, and TNT for a short time. If they ever ask you to do anything, say yes, and then watch videotape of other guys who've done it, whom you think do it well, and borrow liberally. And so I've done that. And then the third was Pat Summerall. Pat I was lucky enough to work with Pat for 25 years. He was the best I've ever seen at counterpunching. He made magic with John Madden for so many years. And Pat's assurance in his own craft allowed John to wander all over the place.
Right.
And the guy in the truck, Bob Stenner, producer, Sandy, having a senior moment here, Sandy Grossman, his director, John was the greatest one I've ever seen at mastering minutia. And he could make something out of nothing. But Pat always had the perfect counterpunch to bring, it's third and 8. So, John, get back to the business here.
Yeah.
And Pat was a minimalist too. So those 3 guys I tried to emulate over the course of my career.
Yeah. All right, I got a dumb question for you. You have an all-time great big game voice, and it might be a chicken and egg thing, but I do think your voice is phenomenal. And when you listen to a Verne Lundquist game, it feels like a big game. When did you know in your life that you had that voice? Was there a moment where you're like, oh, I got something special here?
Yeah, I'm a genetic product. My dad was a Lutheran minister, and he died 25 years ago. But my dad had a great voice, and fortunately, I was born in the Midwest. We in Duluth, Minnesota. We lived there for 2 years. Then we moved while he was a senior. I was born when he was a student pastor, and then he enrolled in the Lutheran School of Theology in Rock Island, Illinois. And that my first memories were there. But I'm the oldest of 5. And his first church was in Everett, Washington. We then moved to Austin, Texas when I was 12. And then my dad and mom moved to Omaha, Nebraska, where they both passed away. But I'm the oldest of 5, and I'm the only one of the 5 who didn't get that gum Texas accent. I mean, my brother, it takes him 2 minutes to say yes, sir. I mean, God, can he draw it out? And fortunately, I've got a Midwest accent, which I think is desirable as sports commentary. You don't want to offend the middle of the country, and you don't want to draw attention. You don't want to sound like you came from Boston or Brooklyn either, or be super cool and pretend like you came from L.A.
Yeah.
But I'm the genetic beneficiary. My dad, and the laugh is the same thing. He had this huge laugh, and I inherited that. Sometimes I laugh at inappropriate moments, but that's okay. It's who I am.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any moment, because we broadcast for a living, we do this show, and sometimes 5 minutes after we're done, I might be getting in my car. I'm like, oh, I should have said this. And I remember it. Is there any call that you've had where you're leaving the stadium and you think to yourself, I wish I had changed that just a little bit and said this instead of that?
Well, I've made mistakes, and those are the ones you regret. I mean, I'll never forget. I was doing a Buffalo Bills broadcast, and they had a number 86 and a number 89. And when they were going from the television commentary booth, they were going right to left, so I could see the 8, but I couldn't see the 6 or the 9. And I had the wrong number. And it was like an 80-yard touchdown pass. And I felt like an absolute fool when they took a close-up of the guy. And I had the wrong call. Jake Reed was one of them who was involved. But when I was doing the SEC for all those years, so help me God, I'd make mistakes of identification. And that's when you feel dreadful.
Yeah.
And you're not doing the job for which you were hired. And we all make them. It's live. It's a live telecast.
Yeah.
But you want to be prepared. And God, you feel awful when that happens. Just awful.
Well,
and it stays with you for a couple of days.
Well, I would say that you've had a lot more iconic moments, and one of them being in the SEC, the kick 6. So after that happens, how long were you like buzzing off of that? Because it was such an incredible moment, and your call was so perfect for it. You must have been on cloud 9 having a moment like that happen in front of you.
Yeah, I was. 2 weeks before that, we had done Auburn and Georgia, and Auburn, and my partner was Gary Danielson, and Auburn had a lead, and Georgia had the lead, and Auburn had a 4th down and 18 at their own 25-yard line, and the quarterback, guy named Nick Marshall, threw the ultimate Hail Mary, and the two Georgia guys went up, and instead of going, it was 4th and 18 for crying out loud, knocked the ball down, but they both tried to intercept it. They bumped into each other, tipped it. It went forward. A wide receiver named Ricardo Lewis reached behind him, grabbed it, in for the touchdown. So we get on camera at the end of the game, and Gary says, "It's the greatest finish in college football you have ever seen. You will never, ever, ever see anything like that." 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And we had 2 weeks. We had Chris Davis with the missed kick, and Gary. The Auburn guys made a substitution during a long time now, and we all thought it was. First of all, Matt Austin was the referee. He's a good friend. We bonded over that game, as a matter of fact, and Matt is the guy who they took him 7 minutes to determine, if you remember this, in 2013, so 11 years ago, if TJ Yeldon's foot had come down with time out or time remaining.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them 7 minutes. And they were asking the truck to synchronize this main game coverage with the end zone and get them. And it took 7 minutes. And then Matt Austin came on, "Please put 1 second back on the clock." And they did. Well, we all thought that Nick was irritated, to put it mildly, with his senior place kicker. So they put this redshirt freshman kid on the field for a 57-yard field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit a pretty good kick. He really did. But Chris Davis grabbed it and got a block, got another block, and all of a sudden, about the 50-yard line, I thought, "Holy cow! There's nobody in front of him."
Yeah.
And then when he got to the end zone, I looked back and I said, "There are no flags." And then that moment comes through your body, and you think, "Dear God, don't let there be any flags."
Right. Because
there weren't.
Yeah. Because we're watching at home and we're thinking, you always think on a big play like that, you're like, all right, give it a beat because you never know. You're looking for that. Alabama fans are probably like, there has to be a flag here.
You're just staring at the bottom line of their TV for 30 seconds after that play's over, hoping that yellow icon flashes up. Yeah.
But you added that line adds to the moment so much.
Yeah. Well, and Gary, we only showed 3 replays. I was stunned. Our director was Steve Milton, who still does college football, and he does all of our golf. And Steve's one of the most brilliant directors ever. And then Gary and I laid out during the replay for 1 minute and 21 seconds, which is an eternity if you're a talking dog. And the late Don Drysdale gave me that nickname 50 years ago. Lundquist, at the end of the day, just face the fact. You and me ain't nothing but talking dogs.
That's great. I love that.
So after it happened, did you tell Gary Danielson, you're like, hey, remember 2 weeks ago when you said you'll never see anything like this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he had the great line. He had the great line because in the analysis of the replay, he said, well, no wonder they couldn't tackle him. They had their field goal protection team on the field. Those are nothing but fat guys.
Yeah. It's a fact.
Perfect summation.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
What's the most fun name to say in sports?
Oh, I've got one. And I don't mean to make fun of the guy, but inevitably I mention it. He played for LSU. And I collect names. I mean, I'm a big aficionado of why people are named what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Barkevius Mingo.
Yeah.
That's a fun one to say.
That's a great one.
It is, isn't it? It just rolls off the Barkevius Mingo. And I think he was a linebacker 20 years ago at LSU. But that was one of my favorites. It really was.
So speaking of names, when did you? So your first name is Merton. When did you decide to make the switch?
Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, Verne is so again. It might just be because we've known you for so long watching. But when was that switch made? It was a great switch by you. I want to say that right now. Well, fantastic switch.
My full name is Merton Laverne Lundquist Jr. The junior is important.
Yep.
My siblings, David, Dan, Tom, Sharon.
What the hell? So your parents just took a shot. They're like, hey, there's our first kid. Let's just take a shot here.
My dad went by Merton. They tagged me with Laverne. So I went through high school, college, and I as a man of unclear purpose, I had no idea I got a degree in sociology and a minor in history from Texas Lutheran University. Graduated in 1962. I had no idea what I wanted to do. But I thought, well, I grew up in a minister's home and with a sociology degree, a liberal arts background, I think I'll try this. So I decided to enroll for 1 year at the Lutheran School of Theology in Rock Island. And 6 weeks in, I knew it was not for me. Mm-hmm. And I, but I swore to myself, you're going to make it through 1 year. So I do have 18 hours of credit at the Lutheran School of Theology in Rock Island, including 6 hours of Greek, which has not been particularly beneficial in this career. But along the way, I got a radio job as a nighttime disc jockey across the Mississippi River in Davenport, Iowa at WOC Radio, which stands, by the way, for World of Chiropractic. And the guy who hired me was the program director, was a guy named Bob Gifford. And we did the interview, and he said, I like your work. I want to put you on from 9 to midnight, but there's no way in God's green earth you're going on my radio station as Laverne. So the compromise was to drop the L and the A off. And I've been Verne since I was 23 years old. So 60 years now.
Yeah.
But to this day, Nancy and I are blessed. We have a condo here in Austin, but our full-time home is in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And if someone calls and they ask for Laverne, Nancy will pick up the phone. She said, "Honey, it's someone either from Austin High or Texas Lutheran."
Yeah,
because that's how they knew me.
Yeah,
so
that's funny.
You brought up your wife. We have to ask you to tell the story of how you two met.
Yeah, Mr. Steal Your Girl.
So we've heard about it, but we'd like you to tell the story. We want to hear it from Verne.
Well, okay. We met in 1980 in Dallas. I was recently divorced. Nancy had been divorced about 7-8 years, I think, at that point. And I'll give you the full story because we got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So as a recently divorced, and I lived in what is called the mid-cities. I was working at the ABC affiliate in Dallas and doing the 6 and 10, and I also had the cowboy job at the time. And I lived 23 miles from downtown Dallas, and I didn't want to go home. I was lonely. So I went to this upscale discotheque. That dates it. This would have been a week before Nancy and I met. So early March of 1980. And a young man, I walked in and had a scotch and water sitting at the bar, and a young kid came over and he said, "Mr. Lundquist, I don't mean to be presumptuous, but what are you doing in here?" And I said, what are you talking about? He said, "Look out there on the dance floor. Do you see anybody your age?" And I said, "Good point by you." Where would you suggest I go? He said, "About 1.5 miles down Greenville Avenue. There's an upscale bar called Arthur's. It's attached to a steakhouse. I think you might find people your age." I was 40 at the time. "And you might find people more of your generation." So the next week, I got off the 10 o'clock news, and I thought, well, I'll take that kid's advice. So I walked into this upscale, it was an upscale bar, and I was just coat and tie because I just come from work. And Nancy, who became my wife, was sitting at the bar with her date, a blind date. I didn't know that at the time, who was the Coors beer distributor in Dallas and Fort Worth. All this I found out later. So he recognized me from local television. It's a phenomenon. And he said, "Well, there's Verne. Let's invite him over for a drink." So he did, and I joined him. And I looked down at Nancy, and she had the prettiest smile of anybody I've ever seen in my life. She still does. And so this Raymond, he said, "I know you're recently divorced. I don't want to take proprietorship over your life, but I don't want you hanging around singles bars." He said, "I got a school teacher. This is a Tuesday night. Can you make time between the 6 and 10? And yeah, because all I have to do is update scores and rewrite some copy. Okay, let's go to dinner." And I've got a date with the school teacher lined up. He looked down at Nancy and he said, "What are you doing Thursday night?" She said, "Nothing." He said, "Okay, we're going to double date, 4 of us." And he picked out a restaurant. And so in the meantime, I kept looking at her thinking, gosh, she's beautiful. And he finally had to take care of business. So he went to the men's room and I asked her to dance. And I had 5 minutes at most, I knew. So we're out on the dance floor and I said, "How involved are you with Raymond?" She said, "First date, it's a blind date." And I said, "Well, good. Then forget what he's talking about for Thursday night. What are you doing Saturday night?" Mm-hmm. And she, the puppy that she is, she said, "I think I'm doing whatever you're doing."
So good.
Incredible. Mr. Steal Your Girl.
We had our first date on March 22nd, 1980. And because we had been both married before, we took our time. We did. We waited a couple of years and got married in 82. And She's charming.
Yeah.
She was
still is.
impressed with your dancing.
Yeah. Wait. So did you go on the double date or no? Did you cancel the double
we
date?
never did. No, I know. I called and canceled. I said, "Look, I'm really. We got late breaking scores here, right?"
Oh, that's. I mean, listen. If you're the course distributor and you lose out on your date to Verne Lundquist, there's worse fates out there.
There's another part to that, honest to God. So, and there was a third guy there who was Raymond Willie's stockbroker, a fellow named Paul Bass. And so Nancy had given me her telephone number, and I had nothing to write it down with, so I still remember it. She said, just imagine a dial tone, 361-9189. And so I'm thinking 361. So now I'm driving a company issued red Chevrolet. And I was a heavy smoker back in those days. And there were cigarette burns all over the damn guide. And Raymond pulls up in a silver Rolls Royce. And I thought, the competition has suddenly gotten stiffer than I thought it was going to be. but that was a Thursday night. And on Friday, I kept calling. She did radio, television commercials in Dallas. She was quite successful for a number of years. But she had a sideline job as a receptionist in between auditions at a place called The Company. And I kept calling. I called her, and Nancy's had another audition. I called at noon. I called at 2. I called at 4. And I said, at 5 o'clock, I know she's there. So they said, okay, she just walked in. They put me through. Nancy got on the phone and said, I said, well, why have you not taken my phone call? She said, listen, I don't want to come between you and your friend. I said, who is my friend? She said, Raymond. I said, I just met him. I don't know Raymond Willie. Said, oh, okay. Well, in that case, we'll go out for a date.
Oh,
I love that. We have a friend, Paul Bissonette, that could take some tips from you about how to handle a situation like that.
Oh, that's such a great story.
Yeah.
That's such a great story. In terms of, so we talked about the kick six, obviously Tigers chip. Did you, in your life, was that something that you would say, like, generally, and you had that, or was it a spur of the moment for that chip?
It was absolutely spur of the moment. You've
That's
got to be
crazy.
reacting that way. You got to be you got to you. Two rules. You cannot predetermine what you're going to say, and there are guys who have done that. No names, but there are guys, and you can tell they force it in. Oh my God! But you just got to react to the moment. So I said what I did because in my life, I'd never seen anything like that. And I assume people at home hadn't seen anything like that. And that's what I said, why I said what I did. There's a little bit of background about the way that shot would cover. And I'd love to share it with you because I want this fella to get full credit. The front of a production truck has the producer to the far left. There are 3 seats. Producer, far left, he's editorial comment. He's the guy with whom we communicate. Director in the middle. In this case, it was Steve Milton. And then to his right is the technical director. So, and Steve's looking at a monitor. Back then, there were 54 monitors in front of him. And he's the guy who says, and this is not hypothetical, this is actual. The guy next to me, the camera guy, was a guy named Bob Wishney from Philadelphia. He's retired now. And he was camera 10. So when Tiger lined up for the chip shot, first of all, Lanny Watkins was in the tower, and Tiger's fellow competitor at the time, playing partner now, was Chris DeMarco. And Chris was 20 feet below the hole. And so I asked Lanny what he thought, and Lanny said he's going to be lucky if he can keep this inside DeMarco's ball. It was that severe, the slope down. And so that was the background. Now, Steve Milton says camera 10, ready 10, take 10, and Norm Patterson, the technical director, then pushes a button. That's camera 10. That's what you see in your living room. So ready 10, take 10. He takes 10. That's Wishney. And Tiger hits the chip, and Bob zooms in. and has a perfect shot of the ball and stays in focus the whole way. Now it starts down. And when it gets near the lip of the cup, Steve said, ready, 6, take 6. Well, 6 is over here. He's got a flanker shot. He's got a shot at Tiger for reaction, here to here. Well, Norm Patterson followed his instincts, and he intuitively did not take 6. He stayed with 10. And because he made that decision, we all saw the ball drop. Had he followed the director's command, really, not advice, had he followed it, you would have seen the reaction shot of Tiger. We'd have played it back. But if you think about it, it changes everything.
Yeah,
everything
right.
about it, how we remember that shot.
Yeah.
And then now here's the sad part of it. Norm, that was in April, of course, in 2005. The following January, our first event of the year was La Jolla in San Diego. And Norm was out jogging and dropped dead of a heart attack at 41 years of age. And he was from Cincinnati. Steve Milton went back to Cincinnati to eulogize Norm, and he told that story so that Norm's family and friends would know that it was Norm's decision that created what we all remember about Tiger's chip shot.
Yeah.
That was what, 2005, 19 years ago. Holy cow.
But I mean, it's a great story because it shows just how much goes into having these moments that for us as the viewers, they just go across seamlessly and they happen and you're like, oh my God, this just happened. It's incredible. And every decision that comes in, all the pieces that go together for a puzzle to make a perfect moment.
I mean, first of all, no one would manufacture something they're going to say in a first time, but you just got to react.
Right.
To what's going on. It's a reactionary business, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've seen so much sports. Like you said, I think I saw a clip of you covering the Texas Rangers in their first season back in spring training.
My God.
You had some bell bottoms on. You had a nice flow going, looking good, like a disco shirt. It was it really was an era.
There's no shame in the internet.
No, it's forever. So
I've seen that clip. Holy cow.
And you've seen so much sports throughout the years. I'd like to hear from your perspective. What's changed so much? Like, what are the most important changes, either for the better or for the worse, in terms of college professional sports that you've seen since the 1970s to this day, where they're multi-billion-dollar industries? What's changed over the years?
Well, the two biggest changes, both of which helped drive Nick Saban into retirement, are transfer portal and NIL. I mean, these kids now, how much are you going to pay me? Or if you don't pay me, if you don't guarantee I'm starting and pay me, I'm transferred. I'm going to Central Michigan. And Nick, I don't know that. I think Nick has now said, "Oh yeah, that drove me nuts." I'm pretty good friends with him. You do that many Alabama games over the years, and we became. I would say we were friends. I know we are. And then if you, having said that, then you worry about, does that impede on any prejudicial comments you might make? I hope not. I think I'm a better broadcaster than that.
Yeah.
But I used to worry about that.
Yeah.
Because I admire him. I know Nick is one of my favorites. And I used to jump up and down. He'd get on the local reporters at those press conferences and just belittle them. And I thought, Nick, you're better than that. And unfortunately, in many cases, he wasn't. He had a handler, assistant SID, who's now at Arkansas State, athletic director. But I asked the SID, I said, to Nick, I said, Nick, they're just trying to do a job. Yes, sometimes they ask stupid questions, but they're young. And the SID said, well, he belittles them because they deserve it. And I thought, oh, nah. But, I haven't talked to Nick since he retired. By the way, I thought he was a superstar during the draft.
Yeah, he was. He
very
was
good.
fantastic. He was.
Natural on
He was
TV.
fantastic. All right, so Vern, I got a couple last questions. One is so you had these iconic calls. So many. I mean, Christian Laettner's shot, like, doesn't he? You know what I mean? Like, that's probably a top 3 March Madness moment. But what is the call that you maybe isn't the most memorable in terms of the significance in the sports, but you're like, that was the call I absolutely nailed?
I would say 2 of them. Oh, I did a talk show after the Laettner shot once with a guy named Steak Shapiro in Atlanta, and he said, "Are you really proud of that Laettner call?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I just channeled my inner Marv Albert,
Yeah.
And when I went in, I went, yes." Not exactly evocative and brilliant commentary. But again, it was a reaction. I get asked a lot about that because I've been so lucky over the years. And I mean, how do you separate Jack in '86 and Tiger in '05?
Yeah.
And how lucky am I to have those 2 guys associated with my resume? You just, I mean, that's rarefied air, and I know that. And as I said at Augusta 2 weeks ago, I got to say goodbye to Jack and Tiger and meet Scotty. So mission accomplished on all 3 counts. But Jack is 6 months older than I am, a fact of which I never let him forget. Whenever I can bring it up. But we did have a moment, Jack and Barbara, Nancy and me, on Tuesday at the week at Augusta. We bumped into the 2 of them on the sidewalk outside the trophy room at the clubhouse. And Jack said, "Let's have a little fun." It was his idea. And so someone had a cell phone camera. And Jack said, on the count of 3, 3, 2, 1. And then we simultaneously punched the air and yelled, "Yes, sir." Now, that was going to the grave with me. I mean, that was so, Tiger shaking hands with the tree and Jack yelling, "Yes, sir," simultaneously with me. That all of that made that week. Oh, and the other part of it is I've had 2 really serious back surgeries. One in 17 and one in 19. I had degenerative scoliosis. So for the last 3 or 4 years, I had done the 16th and the 6th from the content center. We would call it a compound, but they want to call it the content center. So that's what it is. Mm-hmm. But I was in a room and calling it off the monitor. But I swore to my boss, Sean McManus, and to our producer, in this case, Selder Shy, I want to be on the course for the last Saturday and Sunday. So they accommodated that. The main tower was 20 steps behind the green, too much with a guy with a bad back. But there was a flanker tower, and that's where I was. It was only 6 steps up. And it was crowded up there. It was myself and Tracy Levine, a wonderful lady who is my statistician / spotter and a camera guy. But I got up there, and it was just like such a relief, emotional relief for me to finish out 40 years in a tower at the 16th hole.
Yeah. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. And then Jim was more than gracious, in his saying goodbye.
Yeah.
So
we talked about those 2 iconic calls. I'll give you another one. Who the hell is Happy Gilmore?
Mm.
Love that one.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a background story there. That movie was released in 1996. I shot all the scenes in which I was involved in one day in Vancouver, British Columbia. They had shot all the outdoor scenes, all the golf scenes, at Whistler, north of Vancouver. But for the scenes where I was involved, they had rented a vacant hospital building, and Adam Sandler was there. And so the morning of the shoot, we're gathered at 7 a.m. and there's this good-looking guy in the periphery of the circle. The director of the movie is the guy, Dennis Dugan, who played the PGA commissioner. So he was an actor and a director. And he said, I got an idea. Let's do it. Let's have an inside joke. And he looked at this tall, good-looking guy whose name was Jack Joraputo. He said, Jack, go over to the hair and makeup, get a blue blazer and a red tie or whatever it was, and I want you to sit next to Verne for every scene. And it's just a sight gag. You're not allowed to say a word because you do not belong to the Screen Actors Guild. So that's Jack sitting next to me, just nodding. And it's to him, I say, who the hell is Happy Gilmore? And he was Adam Sandler's roommate at New York University's film school. And he's now, if you watch these Sandler movies, he's the executive producer of same.
Yeah.
And I've got a picture back in Colorado of that whole group, Sandler and Jack and Dennis Dugan and the shaggy-haired caddy. I don't think Shooter McGavin is in it. I don't remember. But it's the silliest damn movie ever made, but wildly popular.
Yeah.
Wildly.
A great movie. All right, so I have one last question. This has been so much fun. Last question, rowback question, rhoback.com, promo code TAKE, 20% off your first purchase, Q-Zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, shorts. Not to be fanboys for a second, but is there any way, my last question, is there any way you can say, welcome to Pardon My Take, yes, sir? That would be great for us. We'll play it for our personal files. Or maybe welcome to Pardon My Take. This is Verne Lundquist. Yes, sir.
Welcome to Pardon My Take. I'm Verne Lundquist. Yes, sir.
That's good.
That's it. That's perfect.
Can we get you to say, who the hell is Henry Lockwood?
That's our producer. He's a golfer. He's terrible.
I could get in the golf cart with him then. I was not any good either. I could talk about it, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Henry Loeffler?
Even better.
Yep, that's good.
Yes,
I like it.
Yes. Verne, thank you so much. This has been so great for us. We really are so appreciative of your time, and best of luck in retirement, but also maybe come out of retirement. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know, do you?
Yeah. Let's leave it open.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Deal.
Thanks so much, Verne. All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Verne Lundquist was brought to you by our great friends over at Visible. Switch to Visible, the wireless company with nothing to hide. Get one-line wireless with unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon. Just $25 a month every month, taxes and fees included. One-line wireless, just $25 a month, taxes and fees included. Visible is the wireless company with nothing to hide. No hidden fees, no gotchas, unlimited 5G data, powered by Verizon. Switch now at Visible.com. Don't let hidden fees stop you from being a fan of wireless. Switch to Visible and save. Bench wireless with hidden fees and switch to Visible. Rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. Switch now at Visible.com. And now, here's Kirk Goldsberry.
Okay, we now welcome on our very good friend. It is Kirk Goldsberry in studio, and it is also the day that his new book is out, Hoop Atlas, Mapping the Remarkable Transformation of the Modern NBA. You can buy it on Amazon today. You can buy it on Amazon tomorrow.
Yeah.
Buy it on Amazon for the rest of the time.
Probably.
So,
it's 23% off today in honor of Michael Jordan.
Okay.
So if you like Michael Jordan or books.
We're ready to go. So it's also perfect that you're here in this specific moment in the NBA playoffs because it feels like the pendulum has swung all the way back around, and Jokic sucks again.
I thought you were going to say defense matters again.
No.
Well, no, it's a combination
Jokic
of
he's
your take on Jokic from a couple years ago, saying that he he lacks some traits defensively that you'd like to have.
I don't actually think he sucks. No, everyone knows that's true. But you did have that piece that got Michael Malone very upset, and now we're watching the Nuggets struggle mightily, on both offensively but defensively as well, where Jokic is just flailing around. They're putting him and Jamal Murray in pick and roll, and just I think I saw they had a pick and roll in game 1 where they were averaging two points per every pick and roll against those two, which is that's insane.
Yeah, they're shredding them, and I think the Lakers scored 57 points per game in the paint alone in that series. That was a little bit of a red flag, and I went on with our friend Ryan Russillo and was like, yeah, the reason Minnesota might do this is they're young and athletic and aggressive and ferocious. And, Nikola Jokic is the best offensive center in the world, and it's not close. But compared to some of the other elite big men, he is not a great rim protector and not as athletic as some of those other guys. And we've seen that exposed. Last year, they pieced it together well enough to win. Hand up, as you guys like to say. I was wrong. But if there's a weakness in this dude's bag, it's on that end of the floor, and Minnesota's exposed it. But the biggest point of this game, from game 1, is Denver scored 80 points.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota's defense has been out of this world good, and they just have, it's a credit to their roster building. It feels like every single guy, maybe outside of Mike Conley, is just bigger than everyone else.
It reminds me, and you guys like when I put things in NFL terms, but this is the 2000 Ravens through these first 6.
Oh, I like that.
Who's
I like
the murderer?
I like that.
Huh?
Who's killed a guy?
Stay tuned, dude. Stay tuned. But, they scored 80 points last night, and if you would have told me 3 weeks ago that the Denver Nuggets were going to score 80 points in a playoff game, I would have said, oh, did Jokic and Murray both get hurt? Because that number is just something from the 1980s or 90s in the NBA. And, the other crazy thing about that 80-point night, Big Cat, is Rudy Gobert didn't play.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they're not just a one-man defensive juggernaut. The whole team is absolutely loving playing defense, and they're shutting down this team that won it all last year.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. The first half was especially atrocious last night, watching the Nuggets just struggle. It seemed like, how many steals did they have?
I
Double
think they
digits?
had 11 steals in the game. Yeah, and they doubled them up, I think, in steals and blocks.
Yeah,
and they're just like they're maniacal. They're like grinning ear to ear as they're playing defense, and it's especially in the context of this season, PFT, where offense. What's happening right now is Minnesota is emerging as the favorite to win this tournament by being the best defense we've seen in years. And it's awesome. If you like hoops, it's awesome to watch these guys just lock up some of the best players in the world.
So how much of that is coaching and how much is the individual defensive efforts?
Both. And one of the stats I got last night sort of reveals that is, I think the average separation for Denver's three-pointers last night was 5 feet. And that sounds like a lot, but that's the smallest margin they've had all year in that metric. In other words, Minnesota's defenders were in the right places and contesting shots at a level that the Denver Nuggets shooters haven't sort of experienced all year. Mm-hmm. They're in the right place, so credit to Chris Finch for schemes. And then the roster is just full of those dudes that are dogs. They got the dog in them. They're in the right place, but then they also want to fight and close out on those shots, and they're just athletic and long. So it's a perfect storm.
Yeah, and Anthony Edwards has been the story of these playoffs. His leap, because he was good before, but the leap he's taking right now, I mean, you statistically are looking at it like it's clear that he has made that leap and he's playing differently and better, more efficiently than he was the last couple of years. He also I just love watching him play because you can tell he just wants to beat the fuck out of everyone he plays against.
And that, that's not a stats thing, but his leadership, I think, is his signature skill because he's like, everybody loves him on the team. You can tell the team has adopted his persona more than Karl Anthony Towns or Rudy Gobert, who, let's face it, don't have that reputation and that sort of infectious kick-ass mentality, and then smiling when he's doing. That's Jaden McDaniels. Now it's Alexander Walker. It's Kyle Anderson. Like, the whole team has followed in his lead. And what the most impressive about that is, and here's a dumb stat, the dude's 22 years old.
I know.
This is like people compare him to Michael or Kobe or whatever. 22 years old.
I know you had the stat where it was a list of 4 guys who scored over 35 points at 22 or younger.
Yeah, so that was Lou Alcindor, who that was his name back then before he became Kareem. It was a guy named Kobe Bryant, and then it was a guy named LeBron James were the only other 3 guys that had scored 35 plus. And then the other thing, I think it was 3 times in a row, but the other thing, Big Cat, is his field goal percentage, his shooting efficiency numbers are incredible too. He's 60%, 50% every night.
Right. That's the difference. Like last year, if you look at the stats or the year before, like he had the stats, but the efficiency is what has gone. And he even said it. He did a great interview where he was like, the hardest thing I had to do was just work on my shot. And I would take 3,000 shots a day in the summer. And like now you're seeing what has happened to my game.
And you go back to his draft year, right? And the intel was, does this guy like basketball? Is he competitive?
It's crazy to
it's like the exact opposite.
I know.
It goes to show you what a pseudoscience some of this NBA draft stuff is. But a lot of the intel around this guy was completely wrong. It couldn't have been more incorrect.
Yeah, that one shot, the fadeaway he had where he was double teamed on Monday night, that was where I was like, okay, these MJ comparisons, like they're starting to like I see what people are saying.
Well, he hit the shrug right after that.
Well, yeah, and he also said he didn't want to be compared to him, and then he hit the shrug.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It's so much fun to watch.
It was a good
like,
shrug though. He like nailed it.
I get bummed out when it's a non-Anthony Edwards night.
Oh,
I'm like, where's Anthony Edwards? I want to watch Anthony Edwards.
American basketball. He's the hero that American basketball needs. I know you like this thing I had earlier in the season about like, are these foreign guys stealing our jobs? Because the all NBA team is all foreign players. And
we haven't won an MVP in what, like 7 years?
Yeah, and I was saying that, like, you can really chart out with Jokic, Doncic, SGA, who's Canadian,
Giannis.
now Wembanyama, and Giannis, a path to 2030 where we go a full decade without an MVP. Now, Anthony Edwards this last 2 weeks has said something to say to that.
I like to
build the wall, Anthony.
Yeah, let's make this a USA argument. Yeah, that's
Make
why
the
we ride with
Slovenians pay for that.
Yeah, he's also. I can't wait for the Olympics because like it's always fun. We should win the gold. But one of the things about watching the Olympics is watching all these guys interact and having a moment where it's like it's Anthony Edwards kind of league now. Like LeBron's older, Kevin Durant's older. Like, will that show up where it's like, no, he's the dude now?
Yeah, Team USA basketball, which I got to work for in 2016, was one of my favorite experiences. But the 2012 team had sort of this vibe too, Big Cat, where Kevin Durant was a baby coming out of the University of Texas, no big deal. But on a team,
he won a lot of championships.
Kobe and LeBron and Chris Paul. I forget everybody was on, but it's incredible. And he was the 22-year-old, 21-year-old. You can look it up, but he was the leading scorer in that tournament,
right? And
it was like, oh my God, like Kevin Durant. And I think that's like what it's setting up for Anthony this summer. Is like, oh my God, this is the best player in American basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's
right
like
now.
It's the dream team in '92. I know MJ had already won titles, but like the passing of like, oh, it's Magic and Bird on this team. They're older. They're about to retire. It's like these young guys are here.
And he already just destroyed Kevin and Devin Booker, who is competing for the starting spot on that team in the backcourt. That's obviously going to Ant-Man now.
Yeah.
It's just one of the things that makes the NBA playoffs so good is this kind of thing. And to be honest, this is the best sort of emergence of a superstar in this postseason tournament we've seen in a very long time.
Him and Jalen Brunson, because we had the argument before the playoffs. Like I'm very particular with the phrase superstar. I think it's a list of like 5 to 7 guys, and Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson weren't on that list yet because they hadn't done it for enough years. But these playoffs are exactly where a superstar starts. Like they are now on the path to superstardom in the league.
Yeah, I didn't know you were such a.
He's a gatekeeper.
I'm a gatekeeper.
Really gatekeeper.
Well, I just think it's we had Stephen Shea here. He was like he listed his superstars. It was literally just every all-star.
So Jalen Brunson's not a superstar.
He's on his way. I think you have to do it. I think you have to do it for multiple years, and you have to be like, this is one of the 5 to 7 best basketball players in the world.
Okay, those are fair criteria. I think Jalen Brunson is, dude. Talk about a hand-up moment for a lot of us. It's like, oh, the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson. They overpaid him.
Yeah, they got laughed at.
Yeah, I laughed at them.
It's just like the Anthony Edwards draft intel. If you go back to that transaction, people are like, oh, whatever. And who would have thought the Mavs? Now think about it from the Mavs perspective.
I know.
Like, oh, my God, what did you just give up? You weren't willing to pay this guy, and now he's like running Madison Square Garden in the spring. And
Yeah, he's on the way to superstardom now. Like I fully, that's how quickly it can change. Though,
it's easier to get there when you're in New York City too, right?
Right,
And you're helping the Knicks to the conference finals potentially.
But it's also the way that Jalen and Anthony Edwards are doing it, where it's like 35, 40 points a game, carrying their teams. That's superstardom.
Yeah, and the shots that he made in Game 1 against Indiana down the stretch were definitely big boy shots.
Yeah.
Like, I love the way he plays. I mean, undersized guys, we just love it. The 2 feet in the paint. It almost looks like a college basketball player. And Jay Wright deserves a lot of credit, I joke, for making the Knicks so good with Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart, who's also just this phenomenal sort of emergent player this postseason.
We were going to ask you this. We talked about it on our Hot Seat Cool Throne, but do you know the story about Josh Hart like hurting his wrist in early April? And his wrist clicked, and he told Jalen Brunson he can shoot threes now. And he actually can shoot threes now. I don't know what your stats. You got to find some stats on that. Maybe go back.
Yeah, find me the
April 7th, and he said that he could shoot threes now. He is shooting threes at a way better clip than he ever has in his career.
Sounds like potential nerd nugget material, Jay.
Yeah.
I don't know where he is.
It's crazy, though.
April 7th. Because, like
need a graphic.
Nick Nurse, and when I was on the show a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how Nick Nurse was leaving this dude open on purpose. I was talking to one of the Bulls assistants last night, and they're like, yeah, we just used to leave Josh Hart open.
Not anymore. His wrist clicked.
So it's like that's the new money ball.
Yeah.
Just damaging your players' wrists, and then they're able to shoot the ball well.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You got to find. We need a stat.
Somebody Ballmer needs a mallet.
I'll send
Somebody
you it right
attack
now.
Russell Westbrook's
Yeah,
wrist.
that's what I'm saying. He needs to put Russell Westbrook's hand in a guillotine, and then shut it, and then sew it back on. Then he'll be good again.
Yeah.
That's
I'm going to send you it right now, and
efficiency.
we'll get a new graphic that you can put together his shooting percentage since that happened.
We'll do it for the social. But I think you're right. They're saying like this Tommy John surgery in baseball. These guys come back with their UCL, and I know Blake has got a UCL injury going on.
2 of them.
Is he doing like the velo? Is he throwing weighted baseballs?
Yeah, we had him throwing a curveball way too early.
Yeah,
I called him Blake up DeGrom.
Yeah.
Starting
85.
Yeah, Bark Pryor. There's all sorts of nicknames being thrown around about him. But so I want to get back to the Nuggets real quick. Jamal Murray, he has had kind of an up and down playoff so far. We've been talking about him a lot because he's made some huge shots, especially in that series against the Lakers, that kind of glossed over some of the other stuff that he's been doing. I think he's injured. He seems to be not himself. Can we look at what he did last year compared directly to how he's played this year and see like a marked drop-off in his production?
Yeah, in word jump shots. I mean, he was an absolute killer last year on the perimeter and making his jump shots, and he is now one of the coldest jump shooters in these playoffs, and with a few big exceptions in the Lakers series. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like he has been just not himself. He was just making all of those big shots last year, like you said, and I think he's obviously frustrated. And one of the things we don't do well enough in basketball, and I think football discourse as well, is like, what makes scoring hard is really good defense. And we already talked about Minnesota's defense. And when you have Jaden McDaniels and Alexander Walker in your face, just it's harder to, when Ed Reed is back there playing defense, suddenly your passing game isn't as good as it is normally. And I think Minnesota is the exact wrong team to try to sort of get warm up against right now. Mm-hmm. And so Jamal Murray he's definitely hurt. He's not himself. He's cold. And the Lakers are pretty good defense too. So it's just a perfect storm in my opinion. PFT.
Yeah. And also out in the West, and we can just talk about this quickly, the Suns. We watched the Suns and we said the Suns, they really suck. The Suns are shitty. Can you tell us why they suck and why they're shitty? Like get nerdy with it because it's the eyeball test for us. We're like, oh, this team just sucks.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 big indicators that I like to look at. One, they have the worst defense in the playoffs against a team that is really good, but you can't be the worst defense in the playoffs in advance. And I think specifically they don't protect the rim and rebound very well, which are not very glamorous, but really important jobs on defense. And then they don't threaten the paint on offense. They love to settle for 2-point jump shots and even 3-point jump shots, but they're with Booker, Beal, and KD, obviously great jump shooters, but they don't space the court in part because they don't threaten the rim. And a lot of the best teams, even with like Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, these guys can get dunks and layups. And when you don't do that, it's a lot easier to play defense against a team that you don't really have to worry about attacking the paint.
Jump shooting. All right,
So they're
so
pussies. Got it.
in the West, it feels like we haven't seen the Thunder in
Is that what you
forever.
said? You said pussies?
Yeah, he's pussies.
They're pussies.
What's that?
They're
now?
pussies.
The Suns are pussies.
The sound went out on my
Okay, got it.
The Thunder, we haven't seen them play in forever. Thunder fans are mad that we haven't talked about them. They made quick work of the Pelicans, and it was also weird scheduling because it was off nights for us. I love watching the Thunder play because they have another like young nucleus that is so much fun. So we're taping this right before the Mavs Thunder. Tell us what you think is going to happen in this series and why the Thunder could potentially win it all. Like I mean, we haven't seen them play in forever. It's crazy.
They're so young. The craziest stat from the first round might be this one. They had one person over 25 years old score in their first round series, and it was Kenrich Williams. He scored 2 points.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is beat them now, because they might even go to the finals this year, but this team is built for the rest of this decade and beyond. They are young, and I think they are deep, and they are built for long-term success. But speaking of this year's opponent with the Dallas Mavericks, I think this series is pretty close to a coin flip for me. I'll give the edge to the Thunder just because they have home court, and that's a really tough place to play. Somebody, when I was at the Spurs, we went up there and we get our butts kicked a lot, and that crowd is nuts.
Lead the league in putting on the shirts.
They have a huge T-shirt.
They do.
T-shirt culture there.
Yeah, it's huge.
But it feels like a college basketball gym. In all seriousness, it's like, wow, this is a really loud environment, and so that's a hard place to win. Obviously, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving can both win a playoff game on the road if they need to. But the Thunder, great defense, great depth, and it all starts with SGA, who is the most active rim attacking. He can score on all three levels, but he's a playmaking guard who's just perfect to start an offensive possession with, and he's the most drive-happy guard in the NBA. And the Mavericks are really interesting because they were one of the worst defenses in the first half of the NBA. They made some major transactions at the deadline and then became one of the statistically best defenses. So it's sort of this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. At the end of the season, they look like they could win it all too. But I'm still not sold that their defense is as legit as it looked like.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about the West. There's an imbalance still in basketball. When we talked to you a couple weeks ago, I asked you to look into why the West has just been dominant over the East for it feels like 30 years. Is there a reason?
Anytime a league divides itself in half, it is setting itself up for imbalance. Like this arbitrary division, whether it's the American League and the National League, the AFC and the NFC, and you separate your teams and you say our playoffs are going to be divided in half based on this arbitrary division. But the small market teams, I did look into this, PFT, have just been the best. They to compete with the Lakers, they had to get smart in the Moneyball era, right? So Moneyball comes out in 2003. The Spurs are winning with smarts. The Nuggets, the Thunder, the Jazz, the Timberwolves now. If we're going to beat the Lakers and the Warriors, we have to be the smartest teams, almost like the Rays in baseball. But they're smarter with international players. They're smarter with analytics. They're smarter with sports science. There's just a disproportionate amount of those genius teams in the small markets in the Western Conference.
Interesting. Genius teams.
Genius teams in the West.
That's my new book, Genius Teams.
And so the Lakers they're not a genius team, they're just the Lakers.
The Lakers can make a phone call to anybody in free agency any year they want, and there's three ways to build a basketball team traditionally: trade, draft, and free agency. And the Lakers have sort of disproportionate access to that free agency lever.
Yeah.
And you talk about San Antonio or Oklahoma City.
But you guys just cheat in the draft.
We cheat in the draft, which is sure, but we're not getting LeBron James to take his talents to San Antonio in free agency. We're not getting Kawhi Leonard to come to us in free agency. He might depart as he did. But so a lot of these small market teams have had to build from the ground up in a more sustainable way. And it turns out that might be a better way to build a basketball team.
We've talked about it, a theme of these playoffs is it feels like maybe the super team era is kind of fading away, where it's like you see these teams, the Thunder, the Wolves, these homegrown teams. Now they've made trades, but those were trades with assets they already had or they were able to get. Even the Celtics, I know people were like, what are you talking about? Kristaps and Derek White's like, well, they were smart with who they traded for and how they maneuvered everything. it does feel like we're getting back to this like more organic team building, and I love it. I think it's better for the NBA.
Yeah, I think the super team era sort of starts, whether maybe you cover the Celtics with KG and that, but I think it really starts with the decision, right? 2010, where these guys, mostly American players, team up in big American cities like Los Angeles or Miami or whatever. But yeah, those teams are out, and the old guys are kind of out. Stephen is out. Kevin Durant is out. LeBron James is out. And who's left? It's Anthony Edwards and this Minnesota team that is very deep. It's the Thunder that are very deep. Luka Doncic and the Mavs. So I think that is a fair take, and I hope it's better basketball.
Yeah, it is.
Cooler, and if the small markets are able to compete, it's better for the league too.
Do you have advanced analytics on Lou Dort and his defense?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's an absolute maniac.
He's just a pest.
He's a pest. He's built like a brick house,
He is.
and he is long. And the biggest thing is, does he have that dog in him? And he's got that French Canadian dog in him.
Yeah,
I like that. Do you have any metrics that say whether or not a player has a dog in him?
You didn't prepare me for that.
Yeah, you should. That's a formula you should come up with maybe for next year.
Okay.
It's like where you reach dog stats.
we can help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
It's
do
not
that.
just like scoring
No,
or
technical fouls.
stats.
That's one of them.
There's a lot of
yeah.
there's a lot goes into
Maybe-
dog.
throw the ball into the stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a lot of dog.
Run to the locker room and tweet about your podcast right after the game.
That's dog.
Yeah, but I think like steals and blocks are like the traditional ones. But yeah, do you show up on defense? And going back to these Timberwolves who are taking the NBA by storm, they all got that dog in them. So we'll start there and we'll do a deep dive. But let's introduce that dog in them stat.
I think clapping in another player's face after a turnover, that's a big time dog move.
That's a dog move. I would also add clapping another player's face when they miss a foul shot.
Yeah. Dog.
What about like Filipowski, like tripping or kicking?
He was here today. I talked to him briefly.
Is that
about
dog stuff or no?
He's got a bill.
Calibrate
Duke guys don't have dog in them. They got to earn it. They usually do a weird haircut or some type of tattoo in the NBA, and then they get it.
Yeah, we don't speak ill of Filipowski because he was so close to death, and it's a miracle that he came back. So I don't want to.
really
It's
was.
like talking shit about DeMar Hamlin. We don't want to do that.
I think about those guys all the time together.
Yeah, prayers for Kyle.
The league
That's what
could have
we're saying.
changed forever. We could have probably ended basketball.
It was scary.
It's a frightening
it was
moment.
Really
Yes.
scary.
Yeah.
Hate to
Okay,
see it.
so the one team we didn't mention, or the series we didn't mention, is Celtics and Cavs. Cocky Hank is all the way back. We've coaxed it back out of him. He was scared of the heat. The Celtics are far and away better than everyone in the East. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I call it, there's the G League. I call the Eastern Conference the E League.
Ooh, I
so
like
Cocky
that.
Hank should be cocky in part because the draw, as we would say in March Madness, they have the easy bracket.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to the Pacers or the Knicks or certainly the Cavaliers. But you look at the four remaining teams in the West, Big Cat, come on.
Yeah.
They could all win the championship. And I just don't think that about the Indianapolis Pacers, Indiana Pacers, or the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the Celtics have been the best team all year. They deserve it. Part of that might be because they've had an easier schedule. But part of that is because they're a great freaking basketball team, and they are as deep as it gets. And, yeah, they're going to get to the finals, in my opinion. I think the Cavs could steal one or two games, as we saw even the Miami Heat could steal one with that three-point shooting.
But what about specifically Kristaps? Because he's out minimum of several games. What does that change though for their team? You'd imagine Al Horford's going to play more.
Yeah.
Might see some Luke Cornett. But does that affect their ceiling drastically when Kristaps is not playing?
Yeah, 100%. It's one piece they'd have to take off the chessboard out of the rotations, and what he's really good at is spacing the floor on offense. He can stand 28 feet out and shoot threes, bring that opposing big out. If Jared Allen's able to play or Evan Mobley, essentially taking them out. Now, Al Horford can do that a little bit too, but they don't know if Al Horford can play 40 minutes. So really losing that depth in the front court is a meaningful thing. And if they were playing a Western Conference opponent, it might be a fatal flaw.
Right.
So I think their easier draw plays in here, and I expect them to win even without Kristaps. But I laugh because the minimum of several games as an analytical thinker is like, what does that even mean?
No idea.
More than one. Should they lose some games on purpose?
Oh,
Give him more time to get back?
I like how you're thinking.
Yeah.
well, they do have the set. The NBA does have a set start date for the NBA Finals, so they could just there's
even
only
if there's all sweeps from now on, we're gonna have to take a break.
yes.
We hit the pause button.
They have the NBA Finals dates set in stone.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Usually starts on a Thursday in early June, and then game 2 is on a Sunday.
Well, they've been doing this thing where they're trying out every day of the week now.
Oh, really?
We have. Remember last year there was like a Friday game, a Wednesday game. They're doing that again.
Yeah, I guess that never occurred to me.
Yeah, they're trying.
I hope they find luck.
I stand by my take. I still think they should intentionally lose some games to the Cavs.
Really?
I think.
How
so.
many are you thinking?
I think 2.
But that would just hurt their rest.
No, they should lose 2 games.
In all seriousness, Donovan Mitchell is one of those dudes who could just go out and win a game.
Yeah, he'll steal a game.
He could definitely steal a game. And you know, Boston, if it's tight, like one of their weaknesses is this late game execution. And if Cleveland can get healthy, I think they can make this a series. But ultimately, I think the Celtics are just too much, too deep, even without Kristaps.
What about the analytics on Cleveland? Like, I don't love when they play both their centers. It feels weird and awkward, and it feels like they're a better team when Jared Allen or Evan Mobley is out by themselves.
I don't know if you did the research, but I've seen that exact thing. Like,
yeah.
When one of them is out, they seem to have a better net rating, better defensive efficiency. You know, last year when both of them were playing at a very high level, they had one of the best defenses in the league. But this year, you saw that actually, and the numbers backed it up. Is this Jared Allen, Evan Mobley thing really good? Because it's 2 non-shooters, and one of the things that my first book, Sprawl Ball, was really about was like, can you even have 2 non-shooters on the court at any given time anymore? And Cleveland was trying to do that with both Jared Allen from Austin, Texas, no big deal, but also Evan Mobley, who just doesn't stretch the floor very well at this point.
Yeah.
So if we fast forward to the finals, Celtics versus doesn't matter out of the West. How do the Celtics match up against the Timberwolves, Oklahoma City, maybe the Nuggets if they can come back, or maybe we'll throw the Mavs in there too. Like, is it should they be the favorites to win?
Yeah, and who should Hank be rooting for? Because he's rooting hard for one. He was nervous about the Nuggets.
Now he should be rooting for the Nuggets now.
But he's not nervous about the Wolves. He's like, I think we match up better.
Yeah, I would be terrified of the Wolves based on what I've seen.
Yeah.
6-0, and they've just dispatched Kevin Durant and Devin Booker like it was nothing, and now have made Nikola Jokic, who many were saying is the best player in the world 3 weeks ago and 2 weeks ago, and I was one of them. They've made him look very mortal. As cocky as Hank is, that's the team that should make him the least cocky, in my opinion. I think they would do better against Dallas, which is a little uneven in some parts. And Boston deserves credit because their roster is so deep. I mean, Derek White is having a great playoffs, Drew Holiday, and obviously Jalen and Jason, Al Horford. They're just so deep. They have shooting, Sam Hauser. Like, I don't know, statistically speaking, on the betting market right now, they have the easiest path to the final, so they have the best odds to win the championship. But once we're there, whoever comes out of the West, assuming they're healthy, is going to be battle-tested in a way that the Celtics simply won't be. And I will be very tempted to take them, particularly if it's Minnesota, the way they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, knowing how the coach of the Celtics operates, they should lose some games. He should intentionally go to a Game 7, feel like he's getting choked out, see if they can respond to adversity. That way, when they get to the finals, they're like, yeah, we've had our battles.
Yeah, Minnesota's 6-0. They've played Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray. And Boston is, 4-1?
Yeah.
And they played a Heat team that was, without Jimmy Butler and also banged up in other ways. So cocky Hank deserves to be back. And I think you guys have done a good job prefacing this until the finals, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cocky Hank is not going to like to. I haven't told him this. I haven't said it out loud. Wolves fans are probably going to be upset at me, but I did take the Wolves 9-1 before the Nuggets series because I was like, I feel like this is going to be a tough matchup for the Nuggets. And now Hank's gonna. I haven't told him that. He's not gonna listen to this part. So let's just save it, and I won't even tell him till we get there. But yeah, 9-1. They're already down to 3-1.
Dude, they show up June whatever it is that Thursday, and they're 12-0, and they've just swept the Western Conference playoffs. Cocky Hank is gonna be.
He's gonna be sweating.
He's gonna be shitting his
sweaty
himself.
Hank.
I think he won't. Yeah, he won't even know. I'll wait.
I think he's going to start rooting.
I'll wait,
say
9-1. Yeah, he. I texted him last night. Are you worried about the Wolves? He's like, no, I think we match up better.
Do you think the league should suspend Jamal Murray for throwing a challenge flag or a heat pack?
The heat pad. Yeah, the heat pad. No. Who is he throwing it at?
Unclear.
Ref, maybe.
That's fine.
His throws haven't been very accurate this postseason.
Yeah, we don't know. He might have been trying to throw it to the trainer.
I was saying that like college football, he should have the targeting rule. He should have just started his suspension in the second half. He should have just sat out the second half and been like, "See, time served."
I'd like that.
Yeah,
it's always interesting when a guy gets the targeting call right at the beginning of the second half.
Right.
I think that's the best time to get it right. Right at the end of the first half.
I would think at the end of the first half if you're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah, but he should have just started serving it. So, all right, let's talk about your book real quick. It's Hoop Atlas, Mapping the Remarkable Transformation of the Modern NBA. Everyone buy it. It is a great book. He gets you smarter about basketball.
A lot of pictures.
Great Father's Day book. Yeah, a lot of
Great
pictures.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, Father's Day. Will it ship in time for Mother's Day?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
I promise you have my guarantee.
Love that. So, what is in this book?
This book, so it's about the evolution of the NBA since Jordan. So the first chapter is about how Michael really made jump shooting cool and made perimeter play cool, and that set up the revolution that has sort of taken place in the NBA since the 1990s and really opened up the sport for players like Kobe and Stephen to take jump shooting even higher levels. But long story short, Big Cat, it's about the evolution of the modern NBA and the superstars that changed something or invented something that really you can see when we're watching these games today that what you wouldn't have seen when we were watching Michael in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm. I like these books. I like the maps that you put out. I like these books. They've got a lot of pictures, a lot of maps inside the books. Are you concerned that you're going to have to rewrite the entire book in 2 years when Wemby just destroys everything? You've studied basketball and math your entire life, and then Wemby's now in the NBA, and you have to throw all of it in the trash.
Well, you guys will appreciate that. One of the hard things about writing a sports book in the 2020s is the discourse moves so fast. And in the summer of 2023, when I'm really writing a lot of this book, the Wemby hype is out of control. And the last chapter is about the evolution of the big man, and Jokic is the centerpiece of that chapter. But I did get a little bit of Wemby in there, and I hedged a little bit. And if I have one regret, I was like, no, this guy's the future of the big man. If I had been able to write this last week, he is the perfect extension of that last chapter, because one of the big things, PFD, is he represents the return of the big man. But they're bigger and badder than ever in terms of their skill set. And I do think that's the next big thing in the NBA is 7-foot dudes that can dribble, pass, and shoot just like 6-foot dudes.
Yeah, volume 2.0. You'll have to release like a collector's edition.
Paperback will have an essay just on Wemby. I'm guessing he'll probably win an MVP.
A love letter.
A love letter.
A love letter to Wemby.
Can you tell us just how good is Wemby in terms of like breaking everything that you've ever studied?
Defensively, it's like having Wilt Chamberlain in the gym. Like, he is so much bigger and longer than all these other guys, and some of the plays he's made this year. I always start the Wemby conversation with defense. Like, there were some crazy stats. The Spurs, and I love them, have been one of the worst defenses in the NBA over the last 5 years since they really started tanking, let's say. And when Wemby was on the court in the second half of the year, they were a top 5 defense, and it was just insane because they had no business being there. He comes off the court, they're essentially the worst defense in the league. He is defensive efficiency in a can, and he will be for the rest of his career. If you have this guy on defense, you're going to have a top 5 defense in the league. If you surround him with people like Minnesota has surrounded Gobert with, you're going to have the best defense in the league. So, and then offensively, he can obviously do things that nobody his size has ever been able to do.
Yeah. It's crazy. He's so much fun to watch. All right, I have one last question. Rowback question. RHOBACK.com. Promo code TAKE, 20% off your first purchase. Q-zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, shorts. So in your book, do you have one guy that changed the NBA that we wouldn't assume did?
Bruce Bowen. The rise of the corner 3, chapter 3 is, I think, one of my favorite chapters. And like it or not, the corner 3 is now 1 in 10 shots in the NBA. The term corner 3, Big Cat, when you're at Wisconsin, we weren't even using that term.
No.
And now we say it like 30 times a night in an NBA broadcast. And Bruce Bowen in the 2003 Spurs really represents the birth of that movement. When they beat the three-peat Lakers in the finals, Bruce Bowen's corner 3s were a huge reason why. And so I think Popovich, Tim Duncan, that whole team deserves credit, but Bowen is the focal point and really inventing that 3-and-D archetype that Jaden McDaniels represents right now, or Alexander Walker in Minnesota.
What about Bruce Bowen kicking someone in the face? Put that in there?
That's an all-time. He's got that dog in him, I think.
Yeah, he kicked Wally Szczerbiak in the face. If you remember, it was it kind of looked like Antonio Brown returning the kick. He just was like, I can't get to the closeout. Let me just try kicking him in the face.
Well, a lot of people don't know this. Tyrese Halliburton actually put Bruce Bowen in a time machine to go back and do that after Wally Szczerbiak had the worst Tyrese Halliburton take of all time earlier this year, calling him a fake all-star.
Yeah.
But, I think yeah, Bruce Bowen was a pretty aggressive defender and pretty handsy, and some people might even say dirty.
And tripping a little bit. Steve Nash would probably agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But ultimately, Bruce Bowen is one of the people. And then his teammate, Manu Ginobili with the Eurostep is another one.
Oh, yeah. And being able to catch bats.
That's right.
Which you should never do.
Yeah.
No, he had to get rabies shots.
Yeah, he did.
Don't touch a grounded bat.
Yeah.
They tell you
he
that
had to
in
get
Austin.
rabies shots in, I think, the stomach. Isn't that what happens?
Yeah.
PFD?
Yeah, you have to get the whole panel of them. Fauci's just creaming his jeans. He's like, give him another shot.
Oh,
The
really? I
bat
was
came,
doing my own
another
research on that.
Yeah, it was a bat that did it. Give him another one.
All right, well, everyone should go buy the book.
Thank you.
Kirk, you're the best. We love having you on. Good luck at the Sphere as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck.
I'll stay on the lower level just to be safe.
Yeah, you got to let me know. You got to give me the scouting report because I'm going like a month after you.
You know I will be texting you.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, you're the best. We love having you on.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs.
Thanks, Kirk.
Okay, let's wrap up the show. We got Pardon Your Take. Hank,
Yeah.
you got some for us?
Sure.
Also, follow Mr. Perry. He's hot in hockey.
Mr. Pear's great.
He is a hockey turtle through and through.
Gotta get some ice for him.
Yeah. Okay. Also, Mr. Pear has memes stressed constantly. Memes just it's very funny watching memes interact with Mr. Pear because it's like having a new child. He'll just walk over and just be like, "Oh, yep, he's sleeping."
And
he's still sleeping.
He's constantly worried that he's being fed too much or too little.
Yeah. And needs his exercise. And he's pooping in his own water.
Is that good?
I guess turtles do it. Memes is a turtle expert now. Memes?
Yeah, apparently they do it all the time.
Okay.
That's cool.
I found a thread on it. They're like, my little idiot does it too.
Little idiot.
Is that on Tortoise Forum?
That one was on Reddit.
Good, okay.
Memes, we got to get you like a little backpack or something that you can take Mr. Pear to the bar.
Yeah, like a see-through one like the cats have.
Yeah, like a front, like almost like a lanyard that has Mr. Pear just hanging out.
Or just like a chain.
We should get him a leash.
Yeah.
Or like a baby, like the thing you put the baby in.
Bjorn?
He really does think it's his baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just put it on my chest.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, PMT.
Hey.
This is a take I've been sitting on for a couple years. I'm convinced if James Bradbury was wearing white gloves in the Eagles' last Super Bowl, that call is never made and the Eagles are Super Bowl champs. Appreciate you guys.
Jules has told us this many times.
Mm-hmm.
That he would get yelled at for wearing gloves that were, you could see someone holding. And when he would wear the red gloves and Bill Belichick would get mad at him, or was it the white gloves?
I think it depended on what the opponent was wearing.
Yeah, that's right.
If your opponent's wearing a white uniform, white gloves, I think are okay. If they're wearing a dark uniform, white gloves, no.
Yeah.
You want to match it as closely as possible to get away with cheating.
It does feel like a big advantage if you are a defensive back, if you're an offensive lineman. Why wouldn't you just wear the glove color of the other team's uniform?
Mm-hmm. It's like Mark Schlereth used to love wearing the burgundy or the gold pants in D.C. because he could piss himself and nobody would ever see.
Yeah.
But when he got to Denver, the white pants, the yellow shows up.
So you think that basically everything could be different if James Bradbury had just picked different gloves that day?
What a night that would have been.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's brutal. But guess what? The Eagles are lifting weights, so they're reloaded.
Strong, Jalen.
So strong.
So strong.
So strong.
Eagles are good.
Are they?
Is he the guy?
Yeah.
Jalen?
I saw an interesting that's a good question.
I think we should talk about it at some point.
Yeah. Well, he was injured last year.
Yeah.
Our friend Nick Wright had a pretty good rant about Howie Roseman, which made me be like, oh, interesting.
That's all Nick Wright does is just try and do like the opposite of what everyone else is thinking so everyone can have that reaction.
But
what did he say?
So he basically was like, Howie Roseman does a really good job of drafting off of the experts' mock drafts. So every time the Eagles have a draft, everyone's like, holy shit, A+. They got a guy that we mocked for the first round and the second round.
He was also doing it for like the last 3 years, which how are you supposed to know if those are good or bad picks yet?
Honestly, if I was a GM, that's probably what I'd do.
It's definitely what
I would. I would just fire my scouting department and say, I'm going to make a compilation of let everybody else do the work for me.
It all started when he drafted Rager over Justin Jefferson, and then he never didn't take the consensus guy again.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's interesting.
You know what you're doing.
I'm saying it's interesting. Can I not say something's interesting?
Caleb Williams was the consensus pick from Mox. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, big guy. Did the Bears just
interesting.
take Caleb Williams because Stephen Shea said that they should?
Maybe. Albert Breer just put out an entire piece about Caleb Williams and the Bears wooing him, and it was just porn. Just like checked all the boxes. Great teammate, great dude. It's called him Steph Curry-like experience watching him throw the football. Oh,
What?
yeah.
I don't know what that means.
It means Steph Curry's awesome to watch play basketball.
So it's like that in football.
Awesome to watch play football.
Got it.
Yeah. Trick shots. We're doing trick shots this year.
Ben Simmons used to do some pretty cool stuff too.
Okay. Not really though, because he
he
couldn't
had some
shoot.
very cool passes.
Yeah, but he couldn't really shoot.
He was really
and
good
that's a
at
really
passing
important
the ball.
part of it. That's a really important
does a
part.
quarterback
It is
do?
impressive how good he was without being able to shoot.
Shooting
Vince,
was.
He is. We've said this on the show before, but he's the best basketball player of all time if there was no such thing as a rim.
Yeah. It'd be like if I was really, really excited about a quarterback who could only run. I would never do that.
Or could pass, which Ben Simmons.
No. You're
could
missing
also
the.
do.
No. Shooting is the most important part of basketball. Without a doubt,
Defense.
shooting, putting the ball in the basket is the most important part of basketball.
I think it's the dribbling.
If you can't put the ball in the basket, you won't win games.
Rebounding too, Sixers.
Yeah.
No, but if you make every shot, then there's no such thing as a rebound.
True.
Shooting, I would say, is number one. Putting the ball inside the basket.
Tip-offs. All right, part of my take, but if James Dolan wasn't the owner of the Knicks, we would have been 5 times or more NBA champions by now. Do you agree? And if so, what owner
Holy shit.
What owner/individual would be best to run a mega franchise like the New York Knicks?
Oh my God. This is so Knicks fans win one series and they're already ready to give themselves 5 titles?
Does he mean like historically they would be 5-time champions? How many titles did the Knicks have?
I think he's saying if they were actually
one or
had a good
two?
owner like a Mark Cuban that was actually able to get players and cared about the team enough to get the best players
But
available.
Mark Cuban has won one.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's not like a dynasty guy.
Yeah, but
Two.
imagine if he was
They've
in
won
New
two.
York.
The best owners.
Like think about all the
Stan Kroenke.
the free agents that the Knicks just haven't got.
I honestly think that if Donald Trump owned a sports team, it would rock.
Yeah.
I think it would be the best.
I mean, there's definitely better owners than James. There's a lot of better owners than James Dolan, but I don't know if you put in the best owner, the Knicks automatically have 5 titles.
Who is the best owner in sports?
Stan Kroenke.
Yeah.
Isn't Mark Cuban a free agent owner?
Yeah, he is.
There's probably some sort of non-compete. Oh, no, we got rid of non-competes. You could
Yeah.
probably own them.
Best owner. I don't know. Who's the best owner?
Robert Kraft.
Yeah. Who's the best owner? I mean, the Steelers, I guess. Their owners.
The Rooney family.
Been doing it for so long.
Tony Khan.
Khan, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely up
Steve
there.
Ballmer's electric.
Best
Steve
owners.
Ballmer, good owner.
Best owners.
Josh Harris.
I mean, the Warriors owners, I feel like the best owners are the owners that just buy the team. They're like, money's not a problem, and we're just going to hire the smartest people we can find.
And then not touch it. Actually,
And then not touch it.
Green Bay Packers. Best owners.
Hands off owners.
Yep.
Okay. 5 titles, I feel like that's a lot.
If the entire city of New York had a collective ownership of the New York Knicks, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be great. They'd actually be. I think they'd be worse than James Dolan.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What?
This is crazy.
It's crazier than the Knicks having 5 titles?
Yeah, I mean Florida would have won the football national championship in 2001 had 9/11 not happened and the Tennessee game got rescheduled.
Interesting.
Oh.
Let's
That's
discuss.
a take. That's a take.
I mean, let's think about it. Let's look up the Florida schedule in 2001.
Okay.
Wasn't that the Miami team that was like the greatest football team of all time? Too?
Yeah, but is that the year they lost to Ohio State?
No, the year after is when they lost to Ohio State.
Okay.
That was the Miami team that was one of the best teams of all time. So yeah, I feel like maybe not, but I like this take just because it's good to just sit there and just tell people that, just be like, hey,
Okay, so
we would have won it all.
I'm looking at 2001 football schedule right now for Miami. The game that was delayed, September 22nd at Kentucky, they won 44-10.
No, Florida.
Yeah, Florida beat Kentucky 44-10.
When did they play Tennessee?
December 1st.
Much
It was
later in
supposed
the
to be
season.
September 15th.
Right.
So that's the one that got moved.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's
they defeated them in week 13, 34-32.
All right, now
again, Miami did not lose a game that year, so that feels pretty important.
Is that the only loss Florida had?
No, they lost at Auburn.
That's tough.
But they finished number 3, so maybe the way that season broke, they could have snuck in at number 2 with one loss.
Okay, I'm looking at Tennessee's early season schedule that year. See how they were at the start of the year. They beat Arkansas 13-3, September 8th.
Not great.
Not that impressive of a win. It feels like Tennessee wasn't playing their best ball.
Mm.
And then after 9/11, Tennessee beat LSU number 14, 26-18.
So the argument would
bounced
be
back.
that they would have gotten in over Nebraska, who had one loss into the BCS national title. Still think Miami would have won that game.
They might have, yeah, but can you imagine a Miami against Florida?
Would have been great.
It would have been awesome.
Either way, I like this take because it's something you can just sit down and just be like, yeah, we could have won it all.
If it wasn't for Osama bin Laden.
And Miami did kind of paste Nebraska.
I hope this guy is old enough that he was mad about that in real time, because that means he's like 50.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just very funny. Like, it's better than if he was like, just a Florida fan that's like looking up the stats and if he actually remembers 2001 season and he was mad in real time. I respect that take.
Yeah, I respect that take as well. Oregon also was very good that year, only had one loss.
Do you think
they beat Colorado in their bowl game, which Colorado was also good. I'm going to say
I believe him.
They could have been to the national title. They would have lost to Miami.
Do you think that there's any Tennessee fans out there, or just fans of college football, that during the moment in 2001, when they announced that they were delaying all the games, they're like, this is bullshit.
Clay Travis.
Yeah.
College football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need college football.
We need
now.
college football will help us heal.
I feel like every fan has like one moment though that they go like way back in time and be like, we would have won it all if this wasn't.
Oh,
if
for
this
sure.
didn't
If
get
that
fucked.
didn't happen.
For sure.
Yeah.
Villanova would have won the national championship in 2005 if there wasn't the biggest phantom travel call of all time on Allen Ray.
Justice Winslow touched it in the national title game against Wisconsin. That's a fact.
Fact.
Yeah, I like this take.
I think Ninja wrote this one. Punters should be better. You're one of 32 people in the world that do this for a job. I don't understand how they don't drop it within 5-yard line every single time.
Yeah, it's Ninja.
One shank punch should lead to
Definitely
immediate
Ninja.
termination. Also, more fat punters is objectively better for the game.
Agreed. I agree with that.
I kind of agree with this take. Like, kickers in general should just be better because that's their only job.
Well, they are the best that they've ever been.
Yeah, but they should even be better than that.
They will be better at some point. I agree with this take for punters, especially what always weirds me out is when there's a good punter in college and then he goes to the NFL and he sucks.
Yeah.
It's literally the same job.
Yeah.
Different ball.
Yeah, slightly, but still. Like, I feel like if you're a great college punter, there's no excuse to not be a great NFL punter.
Punters should be better. I also think that, like, golfers should be better at putting.
Yeah, just put it in the hole.
Just that's something, like, if you're a professional golfer, you should just never miss a putt. Anything 10 feet and in should never be missed. Ever. But that's just me. I wouldn't miss it if I were a professional golfer.
You know who the best punter of all time is, low-key? Big Ben.
He's a pretty good punter, yeah.
The pooch punts were
He
electric.
did have good pooch punts. What other sports should players be better?
Foul shots?
Foul shots, definitely. Open threes.
Yeah.
Every open three should be made all the time.
You got to make those.
Yeah. I feel like
Penalty kicks.
Penalty kicks.
Tennis players should never double fault.
I agree.
Tennis players should never do.
Pro tennis players.
Outfielders should never miss a ball.
Yeah. Hockey players just shoot more. You'll score more goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fact.
Also, don't let any soft ones. Can't let a soft one in.
Never let a soft one in. What do you think, Hank?
I mean, baseball and hockey are tough. Free throws is definitely every NBA player should be 80% better than free throws.
Soccer players should
I'll also never understand why tall people are bad at free throws. That's never made sense to me.
Yeah, you're shooting like down. Soccer players should also be better at scoring goals.
Yeah.
Just in general, like I always, when I'm watching a game, like kick it from 30 feet out. That should go in every time.
Football players should never miss a tackle. In fact, they should take pride in their tackling.
Yeah, agreed.
Wrap up.
Agreed. Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Good part in your takes. I like that. All right, let's do numbers. Max, you ever gotten this?
Nope.
8.
20. PFT, have you ever gotten this?
46.
Not yet.
I was
3.
72.
18. Please tune in to the Wells Fargo Championship on PGA Tour Live this week. Max Homa will be playing.
Fuck yeah.
99 put. 21.
Max, what'd you say? You never gotten this?
Yeah, PFT also said that he's never gotten this.
No, I said I haven't gotten it yet.
Yep.
Tell the whole story, Max.
Oh,
26.
Oh my God!
No, you weren't that close.
From my angle, I'm far away. I thought I hit it.
Nah, you didn't though. You weren't that close.
So did Hank. Hank thought he hit it. I hit it too.
No,
I thought I hit it with 46.
No one thought you hit it. No one thought you were
Well,
close.
no one thought Hank hit it either. Fuckface.
26 is way closer to 46 than 20.
How?
Fact.
Explain.
Because it's got the
Because it's
number.
got the 6 and a 2. If you look, from the blocked angle, it kind of looks like a 4.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, there's a 0 inside of a 26. Inside of a 6.
That's a good point. Yeah.
No, there's not.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
there
connects.
is.
A small little
Who
zero.
was closer?
Hank.
Hank was way closer.
Yeah.
Hank
Also,
used
Price
to be
is
the
Right
loser of
rules.
this
You
fucking
can't go
game.
over.
Yeah, then I won. It's pretty simple. And
Yeah.
I won again.
All you got to do is pick the right number, Max. It's not that hard.
Yeah, PFT. It's not that hard.
PFT's going to. He's just
Yeah,
waiting.
PFT. It's not that hard.
Why are you talking to me? I didn't think I won this one.
All right.
I'm not so pressed about
Let's
this
do another one.
that I'm imagining numbers coming up.
Our first double in a while.
Max is so mad he's
This counts.
hallucinating.
This counts. We'll do another one. Numbers.
I'm going to stick with 8.
46.
3.
20.
18.
72.
99 pug.
21. The cat's boxing out the machine. No one can see the number.
Oh,
79.
I thought that was 72.
I thought it was 99.
I was so close.
Pug is a dynasty.
Oh, no. 79. So close.
Love you guys.